Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the MHA What If with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Deku Became Midnight's Son? All credits for this video go to their respective authors, so please support the real author. Check out the link in the description for more details. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. She ran through the halls of the hospital. No one was listening to her as she ran after them. "My baby! Give me back my baby!" she screamed at them. Her quirk wasn't working. The people she was after kept on moving, her baby crying for her. "Stop!" she screamed, trying to force her body to move faster, but no matter how fast she ran, she couldn't reach them. "Give her back!" she screamed one last time, as the door closed behind them. She kicked the door open, to see nothing, no baby, no kidnappers, only the void. Kiyama Namuri awoke to the sound of her alarm clock going off. She turned it off and shook her head, her long raven hair shaking violently. "That old nightmare. I haven't had that dream in years," she said aloud as she got out of her king-size bed. For pajamas she just wore a large sweater and a pair of underwear. She put on her slippers and civilian glasses before heading to the kitchen for a quick breakfast of coffee and toast with strawberry jam. While she waited for the coffee to brew, the pro-hero stretched herself out, needing to stay flexible for her job. She was just thankful that it was summer, another year of teaching finished at good old UA High, and a few weeks of extra sleep in the morning for her. The coffee was done just as she finished stretching. After adding some milk and sugar, she took a deep gulp of the coffee, waking her brain up. "Alright, today's my rest day from exercise, just a quick run for cardio, shower, then relax the rest of the day. I wonder if any of my boys wants to spend a little extra time with his mistress." A sadistic glow filled her eyes as she licked her lips at the idea, before her thoughts were interrupted by a knock on her door. Namuri went to the door and pressed the speaker next to it, couldn't be too careful. "Who is it?" "Is this Kiyama Namuri?" came a woman's voice on the other end. She spoke Japanese with an American accent. "Yes, who are you?" Namuri asked through the speaker. "My name is Lena Bowers. I'm an attorney for someone you know, Mr. Joseph J. Freeman," the American on the other end said. Namuri stopped at that, Joseph J. Freeman. It was a name that she hadn't heard in years. Namuri opened the door to see a middle-aged blonde woman with tired green eyes wearing a black power suit and heels waiting on the other end. She carried a brown leather briefcase and looked exhausted, most likely from jet lag. "Come in. I admit, this is unexpected. I haven't heard from Joseph-kun in years." Namuri invited the lawyer in. "Need some coffee?" Namuri asked. "Please, at least 4 sugar, no milk," Lena Bowers asked. Namuri made her a cup like she asked, and the two women sat down at the small kitchen table in the apartment. "So, what's happened to Joseph-kun?" Namuri asked. Mrs. Bowers slowly put her coffee cup down and said, "I'm afraid Mr. Freeman is dead." "What?" Namuri yelled. The lawyer continued, "It happened 2 days ago. He was enjoying lunch with his family when his enemy, a villain called Pyromaniac, attacked with several henchmen. Mr. Freeman was too distracted protecting his family and was killed along with his wife, Mrs. Misa Freeman. I'm here because 3 days before he was killed, he made a video will, and you were named as one of the beneficiaries." Namuri took a moment. It had been so long since she had last seen Joseph, she knew it was possible he would have moved on and possibly married another woman. To hear that he had died at the hands of someone called Pyromaniac told her that his death was far worse than he deserved. "I'm sorry for your loss," Mrs. Bowers said. "I take it that you were close?" "Only for a year when we were both in high school. He was a foreign exchange student, and my first boyfriend," Namuri admitted, hiding her eyes. It had been a long time, but when she had known Joseph, he had been a good man, one who encouraged everyone, no matter how stupid their quirks seemed, to reach their goal to be heroes. Some called him naive, but his drive and passion drew her to him like a moth to flame. "Am I allowed to be at his funeral?" she finally asked after taking a deep breath. "Yes, you are invited to attend. It will be a private funeral, family, friends and invites only," Mrs. Bowers told her. "Thank you," Namuri said. "Is there anything else?" "Nothing that can't wait until after the funeral. It will be held 4 days from now," American Eastern Standard Time. You may bring another guest if you'd like, for emotional support, Mrs. Bowers said. Thank you. I'll need time to make some calls, Namuri said, and led Mrs. Bowers out the door. After shutting the door, Namuri took her glasses off and let the tears fall down her face. 4 days later, Greater Joy United Methodist Church in Summerville, South Carolina, USA. For such a somber occasion, the day was bright and cheerful, if very humid. Namuri was dressed in a black suit and veil, while beside her sat Aizawa Shoda, aka Underground Hero Eraserhead. He had shaved and styled his long hair into a ponytail and wore a black suit. During the year they knew each other, Aizawa and Joseph had been training partners. He had helped Aizawa clean up his technique greatly. Aside from that, he just wanted to be a friend for Namuri. They were surrounded by people who they didn't know, although many had the look of pro-heroes. 2 of the mourners were Joseph's children, 16-year-old Marie N. Freeman and 8-year-old Joseph J. Freeman Jr. Marie had subdued the attackers with her father, but was blinded in the process by Pyromaniac. From what Namuri and Aizawa had heard, Joseph immediately went to help her, and this gave Pyromaniac time to deal the fatal blow to Joseph. Marie had been on her way to following her father's footsteps in becoming a pro-hero, but now that might be gone. The girl wore wrappings around her eyes and held her little brother close and hid most of her face with a broad-rim hat and black veil. Namuri looked at the large picture beside the coffins that held Joseph and his wife Mice's bodies. From what she could see, Junior was almost the spitting image of Joseph, his broad nose and strong chin, golden eyes, along with the almost coal-black complexion of his skin. The only thing he seemed to have inherited from his mother was her pure white hair. Marie, however, had a lighter complexion, like her mother's, and thinner lips than her father, and a more pointed chin. From pictures of Marie, she had once had blue eyes. People said she inherited them from her grandmother, Eloise Freeman, who had passed away with her husband, Jerome Freeman, 2 years before in a car accident. Namuri wondered who would take care of the children. Apparently Maisa had been an orphan with no siblings, and Joseph was an only child. She was afraid they would be lost in the foster care system. Kiyama, focus, the eulogy is about to start, Aizawa told her, snapping her out of her thoughts. Namuri and Aizawa stood up straight as a short, medium-built man with a green lizard's head walked forward and stepped up in front of the coffins. The lizard man cleared his throat and started, "My friends, today is a sad day. For us and the world at large. Today, we bury a dear comrade in the fight against evil, and his beloved wife, who dedicated her life to helping others heal. Today, we set the bodies of Joseph Jerome Freeman Sr. and his beloved wife Maisa Avi Freeman to rest. I remember the first day I met Joseph. I was a small-time hood, using my quirk to rob purses. Joseph was the hero who stopped me. That should have been the end of it, but Joseph saw something in me, something I had forgotten. He saw a small spark of goodness. He came to me in prison, and slowly over time helped me to change my life." The lizard man stopped and trembled. Namuri and Aizawa were sure that maybe he couldn't shed tears, so this was all he could do to show his grief. "Maisa was a great counselor and helped me fight against my inner demons. She always encouraged me to try harder, helped me to get my GED, but most of all, she listened to me. Both of them did. It was because of their generosity, their love, and their friendship that I was able to become a good man, a good husband, and a good father. It is a debt that I could never repay." Joseph might not have been famous around the world. He might not have been the symbol of peace or the #1 hero, but to me, he will always be the greatest hero I've ever known. The lizard man shook more, before falling to his knees, still shaking. A tall man with turquoise hair and a scar across his nose helped him up. "It's all right, Harry. You're among friends here," the tall man assured him as he led him to his seat. The tall man remained standing and started talking. "I remember how Maisa would always make traditional Indian food when I was invited for dinner. I won't lie, I will never be a fan of it, but I always enjoyed Maisa's. She always poured her heart into everything she did, as did Joseph. He told me that he chose Wolfheart as his hero name because wolf packs were families. The alpha male was the daddy, alpha female the mommy, and all other wolves were their cubs and others they accepted as family. He told me that heroes should see all humanity as part of their pack, and should fight to help everyone who needed it, like he and Misa helped Arie. He believed that your quirk was only a detail, what always mattered was how you used it to help others. Joseph and Misa lived by that belief, and died by it too. I can only hope to honor them with my life, the tall man said. Others stepped forward, saying how Joseph or Misa, or both had helped them in their times of need. She gathered that Misa was some kind of therapist, and her quirk helped calm people she touched or held. Many of those attending comforted the children. Marie accepted their condolences gracefully, but young Joseph Jr. had a harder time, and was constantly on the verge of tears or outright crying, holding on to his older sister for support. Eventually, the only ones who hadn't stepped forward with a story to tell were the children, Namuri, and Aizawa. Aizawa sighed as he stood up and walked in front of the coffins. English was never his best subject in school, although he could speak enough to be understood. I never knew Mrs. Freeman. From what I've heard, she was a good woman, wife, and mother. I only knew Joseph Kuhn for a year in high school, when he attended as part of a foreign exchange program. He was a friend to everyone that met him, always encouraging with his words and actions, and helping however he could. The hours of training we did together saved my life on many occasions as a hero in Japan. I have buried many friends, and it has never become easier. All we can do is steel our resolve, and make sure to honor the fallen by saving as many as we can. That is all I can say, Aizawa said, then took his seat again. Namuri stood up and walked, each step feeling heavy. She saw the picture of Joseph and Misa. It was the two of them at their wedding, a traditional Western wedding. For a second, Namuri thought of what might have been, had life been kinder to her, before she turned to the assembled mourners. My colleague, Aizawa-sen, was right about Joseph. We may have only known him for a year, but during that year he left his mark on us. I remember him as the first boyfriend I ever had. He never looked down on my ideals, or my desire to be the hero I wanted to be, only asked if I was willing to work for it. Being with him was always a great comfort for me, one that I'll always miss, she managed to say, before going to Marie and Joseph Jr. She put her hands on their shoulders and looked at them both. Your father was a hero, and your mother loved you dearly. Don't ever forget that. We won't, Marie said, and then said with determination, I will be a hero, like him. I won't let anything stop me. Namuri didn't know what the proper etiquette was, so she patted them both on their shoulders before going back to her seat. The pastor of the church, who looked like a cross between an elephant and a man, stepped forward as the pallbearers prepared to set the coffins in the ground. Goodbye, Joseph and Misa. Your lives touched many, you both fought the good fight, you finished the race and kept the faith. May we all learn from you and do likewise. In time, may we all join you in paradise, with our Father in heaven. The pastor prayed. The mourners all said as the coffins were lowered into their graves. After the funeral, there was a small catering service provided for the gathered mourners inside the church. For 2 hours Namuri and Aizawa listened as best they could as everyone swapped stories about the good times with the deceased. She tried her best to keep up and mostly succeeded and managed to tell a few stories of her own. It turned out that Joseph had been talking about her recently, but no one seemed to want to tell her why that was remarkable. Before he left though, the lizard man, Arie, spoke with her. Miss Kiyama, there's no easy way to put this, but until recently, Joseph thought you were dead, Arie explained to her. Nanny? Namuri was so shocked she reverted to her native tongue and Arie nodded. Yes. He didn't tell me the circumstances, but I can guess a few things now, Arie told her before licking his eyes with his long lizard tongue. What is this? She asked the lizard man. Can you not tell? Marie is your daughter, Arie nervously said. Aizawa was close by listening, and nearly choked on his drink when he heard this. What? When? How? He yelled in Japanese, drawing everyone's attention, while Namuri remained quiet as Arie motioned for her to come with him. They stepped outside, Namuri feeling numb as she felt like her stomach was twisting in knots. Joseph never told me anything directly, but I've managed to put the pieces together. Simple math tells us that Marie wasn't Misa's child. They didn't meet until Marie was 6. A lot of people who didn't know her couldn't tell because you and Misa share a number of features. However, looking at you, I can say with certainty that you are her biological mother, Arie said as he showed Namuri a picture of Marie from before the attack that claimed her parents. Namuri looked and she saw it now. Marie looked just like her, only with a darker skin tone, and instead of human ears on the sides of her head, Marie had wolf ears on the top of her head and had a wolf tail that Namuri had missed earlier. Marie seemed to enjoy wearing her hair in cornrows judging by the picture, although for the funeral she wore it down, straightened down slightly past her shoulders. Namuri swallowed and remembered a terrible day 16 years ago. 16 years ago. The teenager woke up in the hospital. When the labor started, the pain had been unbearable for her. She begged the doctors to make it go away. She remembered being told to push and hearing a baby crying, but it was all a blur. She had never had anything stronger than coffee before, her system not used to the drugs given, and she had passed out. Her parents were waiting in the room with her, both looking at her sadly. "My baby, where is it?" she finally asked. "Namuri," her father said, looking at her with his dark brown eyes. "The baby, it was stillborn." Namuri looked at him and whispered, "No." Her mother said, "It's true, it was dash and..." Namuri screamed, "No. I did everything right." Namuri screamed as tears poured down her face. "It's not fair. I didn't take anything. I didn't drink or smoke. No." She finally collapsed, too tired to say more, only bury her face in her pillow and hold her now empty stomach. "I did everything right. Present day. They lied to me," Namuri quietly said. "I'm afraid you were both lied to," Arie said, before licking his eyeballs again. "Does she know?" Namuri asked. "She knows that her mother was named Namuri, it's also her middle name. I know that when he talked about Namuri, he said you were confident, passionate, and dedicated to helping others," Arie explained. "I see," she said, hiding her face by looking down, thinking about Marie. "My daughter." Namuri had to stop herself from rubbing her lower abdomen, remembering how despite her parents' protests she had sworn to raise her baby back then. They tried to force her to abort, saying that her hero career would end before it could even begin, but she refused to listen, saying she would find a way to be a mother and hero. Everything clicked in her head then. "Thank you," Namuri told Arie. The lizard man swallowed before saying, "Do you want me to get Marie? Let you tell her?" Namuri shook her head. "No, not now. I'll wait until we're somewhere private." Arie started to go back inside before stopping. "You realize what this means, don't you?" Namuri silently nodded, and Arie went back inside, leaving her alone. 3 hours later, Namuri and Aizawa took a taxi to the Freeman's home. That was where Mrs. Bowers said the video will of the late Freemans would be shown to all beneficiaries. Namuri and Aizawa stepped out of the taxi to see that Arie the lizard man, the tall man with turquoise hair and scar, their children of course, and 3 other people, a short man with red hair who seemed to be of Chinese descent, a woman whose head resembled a Pomeranian dog, and a beautiful woman of Indian descent with all white eyes were also there. Namuri saw the Freeman home. It was a simple 2-story house painted sky blue with a white roof that appeared well maintained, with a backyard that was about 400 square meters and a garage large enough for 2 cars, but 2 cars were in the driveway. When all the beneficiaries had arrived, Mrs. Bowers led them into the living room. It had a large couch and love seat, while the walls were covered in pictures of the Freemans and their friends, picnics, graduations, baby photos, and many more adorned the walls. "Now," Mrs. Bowers began, and pulled a hologram projector out of her briefcase. "This video was made only 3 days before Mr. and Mrs. Freeman's demise. They both appeared before me to make it, saying that they may make a new one at a later date. However, Mr. Freeman had no illusions about his job, and wanted this done just in case. Mr. and Mrs. Freeman left personal messages for some of you. When those begin, I ask that you all leave the room and retire to the garage. That is all." Mrs. Bowers placed the hologram projector down on the floor and pushed the button to activate it. A hologram appeared, showing Joseph and Misa Freeman. Joseph dressed in a black suit with silver tie and Misa wearing a navy blue sari with a long-sleeved gold blouse. Joseph spoke, "If you are watching this, then we are both dead. I hope this video is never released, but I know how unpredictable life can be. Misa and I have talked, and we've agreed to everything we're about to say." Misa Freeman then spoke, "First, we want you all, Arie, Grace, Frank, Charlie, and Priya to know that we valued your friendship through our lives. You helped make things so much easier for us at times. We can only hope that what we have to give to you is a small way to thank you. Among you I know is someone I have yet to meet in person, Kayama Namuri. Joseph has told me all about you, and I've learned more about you besides. I hope that if fate allows, we may know one another and become friends. And finally, to our children Marie and Joey. Here, Joseph stopped as tears formed in his eyes. Maisa wiped some tears from her own eyes before continuing, Marie, Joey, Mir Pierbach, the world can be so cruel. If you are watching this, then you know this. But always remember that no act of kindness and love is ever wasted though, and always believe in the good inside of people. Joseph finally collected himself to speak. By then, life will be hard, and burdens are heavy. Joseph stopped to take Maisa's hand and they looked at each other with a small smile. But the people you love will make it lighter. More than a few eyes in the room had to be wiped. Namuri wasn't afraid to wipe her tears, and swore she saw Aizawa do the same, though he saw her and quietly complained, damn dry eye. Now then, we might as well move on to business, Joseph said after taking a deep breath. Harry, you were always an ear that would listen, someone I could trust. I leave you with my collection of vintage albums, and $40,000 to you, Joseph said. Mrs. Bowers presented the albums, and Harry held them close, as if with them he could feel Joseph's presence. Charlie, my man, Joseph said, and the Chinese man with red hair looked up, I'd have died a lot sooner if it wasn't for what an amazing sparring partner you were. You can have my whole weight set and bag set too and $40,000. Hope they help you in your training as much as you helped mine. Charlie went to the garage and Namuri followed to see an old-fashioned gym inside with a heavy bag, speed bag, dumbbell and weights with a stool to train on. Charlie smiled a little and muttered, that musclehead, of course he'd leave this to me. Frank, Joseph said, and Charlie and Namuri returned her attention to the hologram to see the tall, scarred man with turquoise hair stand at attention. You were the best sidekick any hero could ask for. We've saved each other dozens of times, and I want to thank you for that. I leave you with all the books I have about being a hero. They taught me a lot. I hope that you can use them wisely on your own journey, along with $40,000 to help you set up your own agency, Joseph said. Mrs. Bowers handed Frank a box filled with books, and Frank took one out, a copy of the autobiography of Made of Steel, one of the first generation of heroes. I hope it does, Joseph, Frank quietly said before putting the book back in the box. The recording of Maisa then spoke up, Grace, you helped set us up together, and helped give me the family I love more than anything. The Pomeranian-headed woman sniffed at this as her ears sunk. I leave you $65,000, and my favorite turquoise necklace, my ruby bracelet and earrings, and finally my entire comb set. Everyone laughed at that last item, even Grace the Pomeranian-headed woman. Mrs. Bowers presented a case with the jewelry and combs to Grace. To Priya, Maisa said, getting the attention of the beautiful Indian woman, I leave $40,000 and all of my dresses. I wish I could give them to you, the daughter of my heart Marie, but you're simply too tall for them. Namuri noticed how much larger Joseph was sitting next to Maisa. The hologram was roughly life-sized, if Namuri had to guess, going on her knowledge that Joseph was 6 feet 4 inches, 1.93 meters. Maisa had to have been about 5 feet 3 inches, 1.6 meters, while Marie stood about Namuri's own 1.75 meters height, 5 feet 9 inches. Mrs. Bowers took time to present 4 large suitcases with the dresses mentioned. Now, if everyone else doesn't mind, please leave the room until only Namuri, Marie, and Joey are left, Joseph then announced. All of the beneficiaries collected their things while the recording was paused, many of them giving the children reassuring pats on their shoulders before leaving the room and going upstairs, Aizawa going with them. Namuri swallowed a lump in her throat then as Mrs. Bowers continued the recording. Marie, Joseph said, and the blind girl turned her head to the recording, you are my first child, and I've always loved you. I tried my best to be a good father and example to you and Joey. Maisa will always be your mom. From the moment I first saw you together I knew that she was up to the challenge of helping me raise you as you deserved. However, we know that she is not your birth mother. Kayama Namuri is. Joey and Marie looked at Namuri and she looked back at them. How? Marie asked. I thought you were dead? Namuri was so surprised that she had to sit down at those words. Joseph continued, I know you think that your birth mother died bringing you into this world. So did I. But it was a lie. I discovered this a week before making this video, Will. I found your grandpa's diaries while going through the attic and read them out of curiosity. I found out what had happened. Let me explain this story. You know that when I was a foreign exchange student my first year at Rogers and Stark High School, I was sent to Japan's best hero school, UA High. There, I met Namuri and we fell in love. By the time I came home, I didn't realize that she was pregnant with you, not until she was 8 months along. I tried to get to her, to you, but by the time I had, it was her due date. When we arrived at the hospital, your grandparents, my parents and hers, argued for hours, while I had to wait in the waiting room. I never saw Namuri. Her parents handed you over to me and told me that she had died, even gave me her death certificate. They told me to take my bastard child and leave, in no uncertain terms, so I did. They wouldn't even let me attend the funeral. At the time I thought that it was because they hated me, but after reading Dad's diary, I know the truth. Being a teen mom would have ruined Namuri's chance at becoming a pro hero in Japan, and so her parents bullied mine into stopping it from coming out. Namuri's pregnancy had never shown until the last month. By then she was out of school and stayed at home, so only her parents, my parents, and us knew about it. Our parents bribed a doctor to make 2 fake death certificates, one for me saying she had died in childbirth, and one for Namuri, saying that it was you, Marie, who had been stillborn. We never thought our parents would lie to us, and we both bought it, Joseph said, his anger apparent from the way his golden eyes started to glow. Namuri, he then said, if you're watching this, please, Misa and I are trusting you with the most important things in our lives, our children. We've gathered all the relevant paperwork for you to adopt Joey, and no one can deny your right to your own daughter. I did some research into what you've done with your life. I know that you're now the 18+ hero Midnight, and a teacher at UA. Take them to Japan with you, and please take Marie to you. I know that you'll help guide her to be the hero she wants to be. Misa then addressed Marie and Joseph Jr. Joey, Marie, Joey, I know how hard this will be for you. You will be going to a whole other country and will have to learn to adapt. Your father trusts Kiyama Namuri and I trust him. She will no let you or us down. Misa then addressed Namuri. Kiyama Namuri, please, love my children like they were your own, and guide them through life, since I cannot. Everyone can come back now, Joseph said, and Mrs. Bowers paused the recording to let everyone else back in the room. Once everyone was present, the recording continued. Now, as the last item, everything we own that we didn't specify going to others, goes to our children, Marie Namuri Freeman and Joseph Jerome Freeman Jr. All our savings are to be transferred to 2 equally divided trust funds that our children may access when they turn 18, or their legal guardian may use in order to care for them. That's all we have to give. Misa then said, thank you to everyone for blessing our lives so much. Take care of yourselves. The recording ended then, and Charlie asked, but who is their guardian now? I am, Namuri said, and everyone else looked at her. It was Joseph Kuan and Misa-san's last wish that I take care of their children, and bring them with me back to Japan, and so I shall. The other adults tried to argue, but Namuri gave them all one of her most potent glares, focusing all her rage, grief, and even her sadism into the glare as she looked at them. Everyone was silenced at once by this glare. Namuri turned her attention to Marie and Joseph Jr., Joey. She kneeled down and pulled them both into a hug. I promise you, I will do everything I can for you both, if you'll let me. I can't promise I'll be the best mother in the world, but I will be the best mother I can be, she told them. For a minute the kids didn't move before they hugged her back. It was a strange sensation, waking up to total darkness, one that Marie had yet to get used to. The best way she could tell she was awake was by reaching up and touching her face. The sensation told her that her mind and body were conscious. She felt the scars around her eyes, and the eyelids that were permanently sealed shut by fire, and quickly reached to her side table. She found the bandages she was given and wrapped them around her head as best she could, to hide her deformity. There was no other word for it. She was blinded now, her face scarred, and her chances of becoming a pro hero were lower than before. She got out of bed and felt next to it to find the cane the hospital had given her and started tapping around her room. Her closet was on the other side of the room from her bed, 2 feet to the left from her bedroom door. She got in and felt her clothes for her exercise shorts and shirt. It was Saturday now, she was sure. It had been too long since she had trained. She had to train. If she gave up now, then her life was meaningless. She had come too far. She had her provisional license. She had trained for 10 years in her quirks abilities and martial arts, studied her but off to pass every test given. Marie Namuri Freeman would not give up now. She would become a pro hero, or die trying. She found her clothes and took off her pajamas to change into her exercise shorts and shirt, then put on her martial arts shoes as well. They were comfortable but light and flexible, so she could train however she wanted in them. After getting dressed, Marie left her room, tapping away with the cane. From her bedroom 1 foot from the door to her right was the upstairs hall bathroom. 3 feet from that door was Joey's room. Heading left from Joey's 10 feet away from the door was her parents', her father and stepmother's master bedroom, and 3 feet from that was the stairs. Marie used her memory mostly to find them, and when she did she held on to the guard rails as she made her way downstairs, hearing voices from the garage/training room. Marie concentrated as she walked, hearing Kayama Namuri, her mother speaking with her colleague, Aizawa Shoda. "You're holding back," she heard her mother say. Aizawa snorted, "And yet I've still beaten you 5 times out of 5. I'd say you need to work on your technique more." Marie made her way to her garage door, past the living room, take a left to the kitchen, follow the wall for 4 feet until she reached the short hall. She passed the downstairs bathroom and laundry room doors, down the 7-foot hall and reached the door. Marie opened it and smelled the sweat of a man and woman and heard her mother's heavy breathing, while Aizawa was breathing less heavily. "Marie, good morning," her mother greeted, while Aizawa said, "Shouldn't you still be asleep? It's only 6 o'clock. "This is when I trained with Dad before school," Marie told him, "and when I needed it." "Marie, is this really the time to train? You should recover more," her mother said. "No, I've rested enough," Marie firmly said, louder than she meant to. "I will become a pro hero. That means I have to train, I have to stay in shape, and I have to keep moving forward." "Stubborn girl," Aizawa said in Japanese. Marie knew it from lessons her father had given her. He wanted to take her to Japan one day so she could learn about her heritage. She wasn't completely fluent, but she could speak, read, and write in it. Marie pointed at the direction Aizawa's voice came from and said in his native language, "You're damn right I am." No one ever became a pro hero unless they were as determined and stubborn as hell. Aizawa stopped, while her mother laughed loudly. "That's the attitude you'll need. Never give up, let the fires of youth and determination guide you." "You're her daughter all right," Aizawa sighed. Marie put her cane on the wall and stepped onto the foam mats on the floor, then started to stretch. As she stretched, her mother asked in Japanese, "How do you train?" "I remember Joseph-kun would exercise for 3 hours, doing 10 sets of 15 push-ups, 60 punches, 40 kicks, 15 sit-ups, leg lifts, and sitting twists each, followed with weight training in the gym for 30 minutes, another 30 minutes of martial arts training either with himself or partners, and ended with an hour-long jog. I only do 8 sets of the exercises," Marie explained as she continued stretching, "and I can only bench 300 pounds, while Dad benched 500. As for the jogging and martial arts, I did it with him as long as he did." "I see, that explains all those muscles you're showing off," her mother smiled. "We'll stay here. Tell us when you need help." "All right," Marie said, finishing her stretches after 15 minutes and getting to work doing her exercises. It felt good, feeling her muscles being worked out after a week of resting. The strain was brutal, but she enjoyed it all the same, counting out loud at everything until she was done, while her mother and Aizawa did their own exercises. From the noises they made, he seemed to do a cardio and stamina-based regimen, while her mother was more full-body workout with a lot of stretching. Marie hated that she couldn't lift weights, but Charlie had taken them with him yesterday, with help from Frank. Her exercises more or less over, Marie stood up and said, "Aizawa, spar with me." "Marie, are you sure?" Aizawa is a highly skilled martial artist, one of the best in the world in terms of raw skill, her mother said, Joseph Kuin, and he started as equals at UA, but by the time he left, Aizawa was clearly his superior. I know, and he sounds like a hard ass too, Marie said, then turned her head to the direction she smelled Aizawa's sweat coming from. I don't want you to hold back on me just because I'm blind. Villains won't give me that luxury, so I have to get better, so I'm not taken down easily. Aizawa sighed, then said in an intimidating tone of voice, Is that what you really want, girl? For me to hit you with all my strength, and break your bones with every clinch and hold I get you in? Aizawa! Don't you dare, her mother yelled, and Marie felt herself breaking into a sweat. She knew that he would do that if he wanted to. Don't send me to the hospital, please, but don't hold back your skill, Design, she said. That's what I thought, Aizawa said as he stepped up and stopped 2 feet away from her. She heard the shift of his feet and light whoosh from his clothes as he assumed his stance. I'll fight you hand to hand. Your mother wants me to train you, to get you ready for you. If you can show me that your disability won't hold you back, then I'll do it. But if I decide you're too weak for the hero course, I won't help, and I'll do everything in my power to stop you from joining UA, Aizawa said. Her mother took a deep breath. He's serious, Marie. He once expelled an entire class in their first year. The fact that everyone in his current class passed is proof of their quality. I can't help you here. While there is another homeroom you can join, Aizawa is one of the best we have when it comes to martial arts training. Do you accept his conditions? Marie swallowed nervously. She could feel Aizawa's determination in her bones. He would give her hell in this fight. But if she passed his test, he would help her. I'm sure, she said, and assumed her own fighting stance. Very well, on my signal then, her mother said. Time seemed to slow down as Marie took in a deep breath, shuffling her tail and letting it stand up, so it wouldn't tangle with her legs. She wouldn't attack. She had to focus on countering. Remember what Dad said, rely on all your senses. All my senses, all of them. Begin. Aizawa shot forward so quickly that his and Marie's arms clashed hard together as she blocked his first punch, then let muscle memory guide her to land a hard palm strike to his ribs. Aizawa grunted but then tried to sweep Marie's feet out from under her, but she stepped back before moving in with a sliding side kick. Aizawa grabbed her leg and twisted her ankle, but Marie did the unexpected and went with the twist to kick his face, but he went with the kick to negate the damage. You're good, I'll give you that, Aizawa told her. He then went back on the offensive, this time with a hook kick that Marie ducked under, only for him to then raise his leg and change it into an axe kick that slammed in the back of her head. Marie saw stars but kicked up just in time to make Aizawa back away and give her room to jump back up and go after him. Marie threw punches at him as fast as she could, but Aizawa dodged them all, before Marie changed tactics and landed a side kick to his stomach. Aizawa was slightly stunned, but when Marie tried to follow up he blocked her punch at the wrist and grabbed it before grabbing her shirt and throwing her to the ground and stomping on her stomach, then finished by pulling her arm into an armbar. Marie couldn't get out of it, and Aizawa proved the difference in their skill level by twisting her arm, ensuring that if she tried to muscle her way out then she would tear her own muscles to shreds. I give. Uncle. Marie screamed and slapped the mat hard with her free hand to get the message across. He let her go and Marie rubbed her arm as her mother went to her. Are you all right? Her mother took her arm and checked it, sighing when she saw no real damage had been done. Aizawa walked past them both. You aren't completely hopeless. You need to learn how to adapt to using your other senses more, but you're already on your way to mastering that trick. If you get accepted into UA, I'll teach you as best I can. With that he left the room, leaving Marie and her mother alone. Do you still want to spar? I'm not as good as Aizawa, but I am still a competent fighter, she said. Marie shook her head. Not today. She heard her mother swallow a little. All right, after you get ready for breakfast, we'll talk. What would you like? Joey and me are dying for some of Dad's chocolate chip pancakes. Joey likes his pancakes shaped like the state of South Carolina. Dad used a cookie cutter to make them that way. I like mine regular shaped. All right, where is everything? Her mother asked as she and Marie headed into the kitchen together. After Marie told her where the pots, pans, cookie cutters, and ingredients were, Marie headed back upstairs to her room to get her clothes as she heard Aizawa start the shower. Joey was awake and came out of his room. Marie. he said, and she stopped. Yeah? Joey sounded nervous as he said, what's going to happen when we leave? Marie took a deep breath and thought about how things would really change for the first time. They were leaving their home, their schools, their friends, their country, even in time. She knew it would be a few days to get the paperwork done for Namuri to officially adopt them both, plus their school records as well, and then they would have to make arrangements once they were actually in Japan, teaching Joey Japanese, and she guessed she would have to learn Braille along with other adjustments. A lot of things, Joey. It'll be hard, I admit, she told him. Honesty was the best thing for him right now. You'll need to learn Japanese, I'll have to learn Braille, and train to use my ears and nose better so I can be a pro hero eventually. We'll both need to work hard. She reached out for him, and found his head, rubbing his short hair as she knelt down to his level. I promise, I'll be there for you, and I'll help you as much as I can, she said. Joey hugged her tight, and she hugged her little brother back. You should go downstairs, she told him after he was done hugging her. Ms. Kiyama is trying to make pancakes, you should make sure she gets them right. All right, Joey said, sounding a little happier, and she headed into her room. This is going to suck. I could feel for my clothes material, but almost all of my shirts are the same with my shorts and pants. Plus, color coordination. Marie decided to stand outside the shower and wait for Aizawa to finish. After 5 minutes the Japanese pro hero finished his shower, and another 5 minutes later the door opened. I need your help, Marie told him. With what? He asked her. I can't see my clothes. I need someone who can see to help me pick my outfit for today, she explained. Aizawa sighed. Very well. Marie led him to her room and showed him her dresser and closet, jokingly saying, Don't go peeking in my underwear while you're in there. Whatever, Aizawa said as she heard him shuffle through her dresser and closet. After 2 minutes he handed a bundle of clothes. Marie felt them, a pair of her jeans and a black shirt she wore of her favorite heavy metal band, Full Moon Tonight with her favorite lyric emblazoned on it, and The Monster Is Me. Thanks, Aizawa-san, she said, and got out her own underwear and socks. She headed to the shower. Thankfully neither her mother nor Aizawa had messed up anything. Everything was where it was supposed to be, so she could shower by herself. After cleaning up and brushing her teeth, she dried off and got dressed, then put a towel on her head to dry her hair off. After brushing her teeth, Marie headed back downstairs, Aizawa close behind her. There you are, her mother said. Breakfast is ready, and I think I did a pretty good job. I had to show her which cookie cutter to use though, Joey piped up. Hey, how about I ask you to identify one of the Japanese prefectures by its shape? Her mother told him. No thanks, Joey said as he and Namuri set breakfast on the table. The four of them all sat down to eat. It was quiet. Marie almost felt like they were a whole family. Mr. Aizawa, Joey finally spoke. Are you and Ms. Kiyama dating? No, both adults answered. She's not my type. Marie laughed hard at their synchronicity for a minute before taking a sip of milk her brother set beside her. Well, it's true. Aizawa's a stick in the mud, her mother said, and Aizawa only grunted in response. We're colleagues, nothing more. What about you, Marie? Are you seeing anyone? Her mother then said. Not for the last 3 months, Marie answered. My last boyfriend and I figured we were better as friends. They were so gross, Joey told the adults. Kissing all the time and everywhere. That snake tongue of his was hot. What can I say? Marie joked, making Joey say, gross? Marie heard her mother lick her lips. Very interesting. Why don't we continue this talk upstairs? I'll fix your hair up and everything, just us girls. All right, Marie agreed. As they walked off she heard Aizawa say to Joey, we got stuck with the dishes? They headed upstairs to Marie's room. Marie sat on her bed and her mother grabbed a brush from the bathroom. So, how many boyfriends have you had? She asked her. Sammy was number 5, and my first, Marie answered her. Did you dash? Yes, we used protection. Mom and Dad insisted on teaching me all about the birds and the bees, Marie said, then realized what she had said. I mean Dad and Misa told me. Kiyama Namuri stopped brushing her hair then walked in front of her. She put her hands on Marie's shoulders before telling her, don't be ashamed to call her your mom. I may be your mother, but she was the one that raised you, taught you how to be a woman, right? Marie swallowed back tears as she remembered Misa, how she taught her how to take care of her hair, how they cooked together, how Misa taught her about boys and puberty and life. Marie couldn't help herself as she started crying, unable to forget what had happened. Her mother held her close and let her cry on her shoulder, gently rubbing her back as she said, "I won't leave you again. I promise." It took Marie about an hour to get all her crying out. Namuri held her the entire time, crying with her about the lost time that they couldn't have back. She could have died at any time since she started her hero career, and her daughter would have been none the wiser. When Marie finally let it all out, Namuri went back to brushing her hair, noting how similar it was to her own, only shorter. "I wonder what Recovery Girl would think." "I'm an idiot," Namuri exclaimed. "Huh?" Marie asked. "Your eyes, we can fix them. At UA, the nurse, Recovery Girl, she might be able to heal your eyes," Namuri told her, before pulling out her phone and setting it to video chat to call Recovery Girl. The older heroine answered, sounding grumpy, "Do you realize the time, Kiyama-san?" "I'm sorry, Recovery Girl, but I need you to look at someone," she said, and then took a few minutes to explain her relationship with Marie and Joseph, as well as Marie's injuries. Recovery Girl sighed, "Kiyama-san, I don't know if I can heal her. Can I see her eyes first?" Namuri turned to Marie, who was already taking off her bandages. Namuri gasped when she saw the burns that had scarred her daughter's eyes shut. She managed to point her phone at Marie to give Recovery Girl a look at them. "Closer," Recovery Girl said, and Namuri did so. The youthful heroine examined Marie's face closely before saying, "It's possible. It would have been best if I saw her within 24 hours of her injury. My quirk is limited, and the more time between the original injury and my seeing the patient affects it as well. Then I need to bring her to you," Namuri said. "As soon as possible would be best," Recovery Girl told her. "Thank you so much, we'll be there in 48 hours. Namuri excitedly said. "Can she really do it?" Marie asked, sounding both afraid and hopeful. "I've seen her heal people from the brink of death. I've watched shattered bones, torn muscles, and bleeding organs heal in seconds thanks to her. If anyone can heal you, it's Recovery Girl," Namuri assured her. "I'll be waiting at my home for her. I'll text you my address. For now, though, I need to get to sleep," the old heroine said. "Thank you, Recovery Girl. I'll find some way to repay you for this, I promise," Namuri said before hanging up. "Can she really do it?" Marie asked again. "Believe in me and her," Namuri told her daughter. "Even if she can't, I will find a way. For now, I guess we need to get ready to leave. You should tell Joey. Tomorrow, you both can say goodbye for your friends." Marie nodded and headed back downstairs. Namuri got on the phone to start making arrangements to get the four of them, herself, Aizawa, Marie, and Joey, one-way tickets back to Japan. Namuri sighed deeply as the sun rose, and she was on her 12th cup of coffee. Getting all of the paperwork ready to move Marie and Joey to Japan in 48 hours had been long, hard, stressful, and exhausting, but she had managed it all. All their school records, medical records, all of them. She looked at the folders filled with Marie's records and looked through them. Marie always performed among the top 3 students of her class in all physical education and practical hero tests. Her written exams were not her strongest suit, but Marie almost never scored less than an 80. She took out the last written assignment Marie wrote, a 5,000-word essay on why she wanted to become a pro hero. Namuri read it as best she could. Reading English and speaking it were two very different things, but she managed. Namuri had expected it to be about Joseph, and how he inspired and trained Marie. She was shocked to see that it was about herself. Marie had written how her parents had met in Japan, practiced and took classes together, fell in love, how Namuri and Joseph both wanted to be pro-heroes. The essay ended with Marie vowing to be the greatest female pro-hero in the world, like her mother would have been. Namuri put the paper back in the folder and sighed. She thinks I'm some kind of saint. How can I tell her the truth without her totally hating the reality? The 18-plus hero looked back on her life. Many people questioned if she deserved to be a hero, what kind of role model such a promiscuous and shameless woman as she could be, they said aloud, to her face. She remembered all the people she had saved, by herself and as part of numerous teams, how quickly she had resolved numerous crises with her quirk. She took a deep breath and made her choice. I'll tell her the truth. I am a hero, no matter what else I am. I've saved hundreds of lives if not more. I've never surrendered or given up. I'm not perfect, but I'm still a damn good hero. Namuri heard the tap-tap-tap of Marie's cane and said, "Good morning." Marie was dressed to work out but said, "Good morning, mother. Are you not working out today?" "I was busy yesterday and last night. I need to rest. I think I'll take a nap after breakfast," Namuri told her. "Alright," Marie said. "Before I forget," Namuri told her, "I managed to get in touch with your friends. Joey helped me as well as his friends. I'm planning on having a going-away party here, around 5. Marie nodded at her. "Thank you, mother. Can you help me find my hero outfit then? I want us to wear them. I want them to remember the hero I'll be." "Of course. Is there anything I can make for breakfast? Pancakes again, maybe?" "Well, what do you usually have?" Marie asked. Namuri laughed. "Usually I just have some toast with jam and some coffee. I've been fairly successful, but I don't have a mansion or anything. You and Joey will have to take some of my boys' rooms." Marie's ears twitched. "Boys? That's what I call my sidekicks, midnight boys. When we stay out really late I let them stay with me. I'm sure after I explain they won't mind," Namuri explained. "Alright," Marie said, and went into the garage to train. As she did that, Namuri got her breakfast and saw that they had cereal and such for the kids. Marie's senses are serving her well. Joseph Kuhn must have taught her how to use them to her advantage. Namuri remembered how Joseph would act faster than one would expect of such a large man, especially after activating his quirk and transforming into his wolfman form. He would always claim it wasn't speed or reflexes. He paid attention to his wolf-like senses to know what was coming ahead of time. Aizawa had to become faster in order to keep up, and finally defeat him. Speaking of which, Namuri soon heard the sound of Marie and Aizawa sparring. She went into the garage and saw Marie manage to take Aizawa down, only for the underground hero to flip their position and force his forearm into her neck. Marie tapped out before he choked her out. "You're overconfident. Your blindness makes your opponent confident, and they underestimate you. However, you shouldn't believe that is your strength. An experienced or ruthless opponent won't hesitate to use their own advantages against you," Aizawa told her. "Thank you, Aizawa-sensei," Marie said in Japanese as they got up and started again. This time, Marie was more cautious and Aizawa went on the offensive. Marie blocked several punches before throwing a kick that was deflected. Marie ducked under a kick, and unlike last time moved back before Aizawa could axe kick her. Marie threw her own kick that Aizawa grabbed, then lifted her other leg to kick his hand and make him let go. She fell on the ground but then tried to sweep his feet out from under him, but Aizawa jumped over the sweep. To Namuri and Aizawa's surprise, she then moved into a handstand and slapped his face with her tail, before kicking his chest. Aizawa stumbled back and Marie got back on her feet before attempting a tackle. Aizawa was ready for her though and wrapped his arm around her neck as he fell, and his legs around her body to get her into a perfect guillotine choke. Marie struggled to get out of it but couldn't. After a minute she finally tapped out. "You're a lot stronger than your body suggests," Marie told him as they stood up again. "It doesn't matter how large your muscles are, it matters which muscles you train, and also your technique," Aizawa said. "Dad used to tell me that. He said I wouldn't be as large as him, so I should focus on speed, stamina, and skill. Though I made sure I was strong too," Marie said. "That sounds like Joseph Kuhn. He knew a lot about how to train. He even gave Kiyama advice on her diet," Aizawa said. Namuri blushed. "Aizawa? Did it work?" Marie asked with a mischievous smile. "She lost 9 kilograms, about 20 pounds thanks to him," he told her. "I'll kill you," Namuri threatened. Marie laughed as Aizawa said, "She was so lazy, only focused on using her quirk, never her body." Namuri glared at him and left the garage to make breakfast as Marie and Aizawa continued to train. Joey came down just as they finished, and Marie told him, "You can have whatever you can make." After everyone had breakfast and showered, Namuri went into Marie's room to help her get dressed. Namuri looked at the walls, covered in posters for a band called Full Moon Tonight, as well as some old horror movies, the same movies on discs organized by horror subgenre it seemed on a bookshelf. "Dad told me that you hate horror movies," Marie said, as though she could sense Namuri's discomfort. I can't say I'm fond of them, Namuri said when she looked at the cover of an Hellraiser movie. Marie laughed and said, relax, I watch other stuff. My friends and I just like watching them together. Everyone at school calls us the Monster Maniacs, but we prefer the Frightening Five. Why? Namuri asked, afraid of the answer. You'll see when they arrive, Marie said as she led Namuri to her closet. Marie was outside enjoying the smell of pizza in the air. Namuri had decided to order pizza for the going-away party. She had managed to convince her mother and Aizawa to wear their own hero costumes. Her brother told her Aizawa looked like a regular guy with weird goggles and long bandages around his neck like a scarf, while her mother looked like a woman from a dirty magazine. Marie didn't have room to judge. Her own outfit was skin-tight and made of flexible material for her own quirk. Her top was just slightly more than a gray sports bra with the symbol of a wolf profile on the chest, along with fingerless gloves and forearm guards on her hands and arms, and she wore nearly yoga pants tight shorts that stopped above her knee and shin guards with martial arts shoes. She needed so much exposed skin for when she truly activated her quirk. Having fur being covered up was pretty dang hot after all. When Aizawa saw her outfit, he told her mother, she's definitely your daughter. Her costume is only a few millimeters from breaking the law. Don't exaggerate, her mother told him. It's minimalist, sure, but remember, Joseph Kuhn's was just a pair of shorts and a vest. At least her cleavage is covered. As for right now, Marie was waiting for her friends to arrive. Joey had already had a party at the park with his friends, lots of cake and ice cream for all. Joey was nearly crying at the thought of never seeing his friends again, before her mother told him that he could email videos about Japan to them, and it seemed to help. She heard 4 cars driving up and started walking over. Marie, her own friends yelled, and Marie was nearly tackled as she was wrapped in a large group hug. She felt and smelled all of them, and realized they were also dressed in their hero costumes. Her best friend since middle school, Francesca, with her large 7-foot-tall 240-pound body, strong enough to crack boulders to pebbles, wearing a suit that made her live up to the quirk name Frankenstein, pulled her away and into a tight hug that Marie tried to return. Marie, are you really leaving? Francesca asked. I am Frankie. My mother is taking me to. She says that a teacher there has healing powers and can fix my eyes, Marie told her. Promise you'll email me, vlog, text, anything, Francesca asked her. Marie felt her best friend's tears and said, hey, none of that mushy stuff. Of course, I'll keep in touch. Marie had a hard time stopping her own tears as Francesca put her down. Marcus clapped a thin hand on her back. His quirk, Sleepy Hollow, gave him a fire-breathing jack-o'-lantern head. Marie felt the leather gloves of his outfit that made him look like the legendary Headless Horseman, said, come on Marie. Don't cry too. You're too tough for that. Marcus, this isn't about who's tough. Because all this stuff is, Marie admitted to him. Marcus was thin and short, only 5 feet and 5 inches and weighed 100 pounds at most, but he was a scrapper that only an idiot would underestimate. I know Marie, Marcus said. If there's anything you need, just ask. Thanks, Marcus, Marie said and gave him a hug. Hey now. We just got here. This isn't goodbye yet, the ethereal voice of Lilith said. Lilith's quirk was will-o'-wisp. She could turn into a ball of light like the famous spirit and dressed up like a wraith with makeup to look like a skeleton wearing a long shroud to help the effect. Marie heard her transform into her human form and put a plate of pizza in Marie's hand. Come on. It's a party, Lilith said. It's a regular monster mash, that's for sure. Sammy slithered over with pizza in 3 of his 4 hands. His quirk, Lamia, gave him the extra limbs and instead of legs he had a powerful snake's tail. Lame pun, Sammy, Francesca said, but took the offered pizza anyway. So, that's the pro-hero midnight, huh? Lilith finally asked after 5 minutes of the 5 teens basically talking about nothing. Marcus whistled. Hey, if this is her regular outfit, I'm almost afraid of what her original was like. Hey, quit drooling over my mother, Marie said, managing to elbow his ribs. Oh, sorry, but Marie, I can see where you got like 80% of your bod. Marcus said, I mean, that outfit is practically a second skin on her. He's right about that, Sammy said. I know, she's pretty liberated and all that. Wait, what original outfit? Marie asked. When we heard about your parents, news traveled that you and Joey were being adopted, Francesca explained. We looked her up, Lilith said. The 18-plus hero Midnight is infamous in Japan for her original outfit. They actually wrote laws to make sure nothing so skimpy was worn by heroes in Japan again. Well, Dad said that she liked attention, but I never imagined that. Marie said, wondering what else she didn't know about her biological mother. She heard heels on the ground as Kayama Namuri, Midnight, walked over. So, how are you kids enjoying the party? I admit, I see you all chose a Halloween's theme for your costumes. Halloween nothing, Marcus declared, and drew the sword he had as part of his costume and twirled it around. We are the Frightening Five, striking terror into the hearts of evil everywhere. Marie and all her friends took on their best poses, and Marie activated her quirk, Lycanthrope, feeling as her muscles became stronger, tighter, as black fur grew over her body while her teeth grew sharp as knives and her nails grew a whole inch into claws sharp enough to scratch solid rock. Marie smiled as she and her friends declared, the Frightening Five battles evil, wherever it thrives. Midnight laughed out loud. Oh, the thrill of youth. The passion. The drive. The sheer power. All of you will be great heroes if you keep this up. Gee, thanks, Francesca said. Most people think it's corny. Oh, never mind them, Midnight said as she walked closer. As long as you keep that youthful passion and spirit alive, nothing can stop you. Midnight held Marie's shoulder as she said, Marie, if you graduate from UA, what are you going to do? Like you have to ask, Marie said. I'll come home, and the Frightening Five will become the most famous hero team ever. That's what I like to hear. Midnight said, oh, you all are like some of my favorite students, filled with that fire inside that makes all the difference. I feel tingly all over. For the rest of the party, Marie and her friends drank punch, ate pizza, talked, laughed, shared memories, and showed off their quirks for Midnight. Marie hadn't felt so alive, so excited, and so hopeful in a long time. But alas, time came for all of them to leave. Francesca gave her a hug and said, don't forget. I could never forget you, Frankie, Marie promised. Lilith was next. I hope you send videos. I want to see what Japan is like for real. I'll do my best, Marie told her as they hugged goodbye. Stay strong, Marie. We'll miss you. It won't be the same without you here, Marcus said as he and Marie bumped fists. Don't get mushy on me now, Pumpkin Spice, Marie told him, then pulled him into a hug. Keep everyone safe for me. I promise I will, Marcus told her. And finally, it was Sammy's turn. He wrapped his forearms around Marie and said, Marie, is it too late for us? Marie reached with her hands and found his face, before kissing his cheek. I'm sorry, Sammy. We just weren't meant to be. The boy nodded and kissed her forehead. No matter what, I'll always be there if you need me. I promise. I know, Marie said as they had one last hug, before he slithered back into his parents' car. Marie heard them all leave, but managed to keep herself from crying. Her mother stood beside her and put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You will come back. This isn't the end for you five. I hope you're right, Marie said as she was guided back into her house. Attention passengers, we are now arriving at Tokyo International Airport. Please remain seated until the plane has come to a full stop, while the flight attendants help you with your luggage, the pilot said over the plane's intercom. Aizawa was fast asleep, as were Joey and Marie, and Namuri nudged Aizawa awake. We're home, she told him. Aizawa nodded and woke up Marie, who woke up Joey. Mommy? Joey said before he realized where he was. Joey, I know things will be difficult, Namuri said to him, but I promise they will get better. Are you hungry? Joey shook his head as did Marie. Aizawa and Namuri lead them both out of the airplane and through the airport to baggage handling. Marie and Joey's heightened sense of smell helped them find their luggage quickly, and they were all in a taxi heading to Namuri's home within an hour of landing. Oka-san, Marie asked, how large is your home? Large enough for you two to each have your own rooms, though they will be slightly smaller than your old bedrooms. It's really more of a large apartment than anything else, Namuri explained. I see, Marie said, What about training? I have a gym membership. My apartment is rather deluxe. Most people can't afford it, but I made some smart investments. I could convert a room into a training room, but it would be rather tight, and I don't like exercising alone, Namuri explained. Don't worry, UA has a top-of-the-line gym on campus for you to exercise in. What are you saying? Joey asked, and Namuri was reminded the boy couldn't speak Japanese. Just about living arrangements, Namuri told him in English. That reminder made her realize something. She was going to have to do something to teach Joey Japanese, speaking, reading, and writing it all, if he was going to have a chance at school, unless she enrolled him in a school for non-Japanese children, but those were expensive to get into. Namuri had money, but she wasn't rich. Joey, you don't understand any Japanese at all? Namuri asked, hoping Joseph had taught both children, and Joey was just less experienced. I know konnichiwa, arigato, senpai, nei-san, nichan, tu-san, oka-san, san, koen, chan, sama. That's it, Joey said. That's not enough for you to live here. You'll need a tutor. Count me out, Aizawa bluntly stated in English. I have enough troublesome students. I can give you references to some people who can teach him, Kiyama, but that's all I will do. Namuri nodded. You think Yamada would help? Probably, Aizawa said, but don't think that he'll be much cheaper than a regular tutor. Who's Yamada? Marie asked. Another colleague at UA. He's the English teacher, Namuri explained. He's also known as Present Mike. He's a rather famous radio host and DJ, as well as a pro hero. Will he have time to tutor Joey? Marie asked. That stopped Namuri and Aizawa. She looked at Aizawa, and Aizawa thought about it before saying to Joey, I'm not sure. That depends on you, how good a student you are. Marie wrapped an arm around her little brother. Joey is all brains. All A's since first grade. He's learning middle school level classes in third grade. Joey smiled a little, and Namuri couldn't help but smile as well. You'll do well then. The taxi arrived at her apartment building 5 minutes later and Namuri paid the driver. Aizawa helped them carry their luggage and they were lifted to the 3rd floor. Namuri led the way and opened the door, and Joey was shocked. Wow, this is an apartment? He exclaimed. Is it big? Marie asked. Like half our house. Joey told her. Joey, Marie said as she took out her phone, please start filming. You can do that for your friends too. The boy took his sister's phone and set it to recording camera mode and focused on Marie. Ready, Joey said. Well, we arrived at my mother's apartment, Marie said. Joey tells me that it's huge. Thought I can't tell. What do you think? Joey moved the camera around to show off Namuri's apartment, and she waved as Joey faced the phone towards her, while Aizawa said, I'm going. Good luck. Thank you for everything, Aizawa, Namuri said as he left. She watched as Joey and Marie went through her apartment, Joey sometimes talking as well, so he could send the video to his own friends. Namuri showed them where everything was, paying special attention in the kitchen so Joey didn't hurt himself, and led him to her boys' rooms. All their rooms were the same, just simple places to sleep in, among other activities. They went through the whole apartment, except for her room. Hold it, she said as they approached her bedroom. What's wrong? Joey. That's my room, and only people I give permission to can go in, Namuri said. She looked at the phone, which was not open to her, and said with a very stern voice, no one under 18 allowed. Joey shivered a little. Got it? Namuri sighed. You have the run of the apartment. She then went to her TV and turned it on before setting it to show English subtitles. I have a pretty good cable package, but there aren't many English channels, she explained to Marie before giving her the remote. Do you know how to use this brand? I do, Marie told her. I know the layout. All right, avoid the 800 channels, for Joey's sake, Namuri whispered. Jet lag is hitting me pretty hard. I need a nap, and then we'll see Recovery Girl. Joey nodded. Have a nice nap. Namuri smiled at him and went to her room and fell asleep as soon as she hit the bed. Marie listened as Joey uploaded the video onto his laptop, and with her instructions sent it to her friends and his. As soon as he was done, Marie took a deep breath and got a good sense of the smell inside of her mother's apartment. It smelled mainly of perfumes and lotions as well as some cleaning chemicals. She also smelled the musk of sex, mostly emanating from her mother's bedroom, though there was a fainter sex musk smell coming from the other rooms as well. She figured that her mother would be liberated in that area during her going-away party. Marcus, Francesca, Sammy, and Lilith told her stories they read online about the 18-plus hero, Midnight. She had a reputation of being the sexiest heroine in all of Japan, if not the world. She remembered how her mother referred to her sidekicks as herd boys and realized that they were also herd boy toys. Marie's thoughts were interrupted when she heard a knock on the door. Joey went to it and Marie went to the door as well. "Let me answer," Marie told him, then switched to Japanese. "Who is it?" A man's voice answered, "Is Mistress Midnight there?" "Who is asking?" Marie asked. "Please tell Mistress Midnight that Ichiro, Nikaido, Sanjuro, and Shiro are here," the man's voice said. "Joey," Marie said, and Joey nodded. He went to Midnight's room and knocked. "Midnight, some guys are here. Say their names are Ichiro, Nikaido, Sanjuro, and Shiro." Joey yelled. Marie heard her mother wake up and groan. Shit, they're early," she cursed in Japanese. In English she told Joey, "Let them in and tell them to wait in the living room for me." "All right," Joey said, and Marie opened the door. "Mistress Midnight says to wait in the living room for her," she said, and smelled 4 men come in. They all smelled of fancy cologne, and from the sounds of their shoes, these men were all very well dressed. They waited in the living room and Marie and Joey sat down with them. "Do you guys speak English?" Marie asked. "We all can," a different man's voice answered in English, "although I am the most fluent speaker." "You must be Mistress Marie and Joey-chan. It is nice to meet you." "I am Sanjuro." "I am Ichiro," the first man said. "I am Nikaido," a third man introduced himself in English. "And I am Shiro," the last one said. All of them spoke with variable amounts of Japanese accent. If Marie had to give an order from worst to best English speaker, she'd say it was Nikaido, Shiro, Ichiro, and Sanjuro. "It's nice to meet you," Joey said, and Marie heard as he offered his hand and the 4 Midnight boys shook hands. Marie offered her hand, and to her surprise, all 4 of them instead took her hand and kissed it. Midnight walked in then and laughed. "Already working on my daughter, I see." "Mistress, we're so happy your trip to America went so well." All 4 Midnight boys yelled as they went to her. "We were introducing ourselves to your new children," Ichiro explained in Japanese. "They are very well behaved," Nikaido said. "Mistress Marie is quite beautiful. She has inherited much of your beauty," Sanjuro said. "We will do whatever we can to assist you," Shiro finished. Midnight laughed again. "Thank you very much, my dear boys. I'm afraid we must be going to see Recovery Girl now, to heal Marie's eyes. Sanjuro, Ichiro, would you mind giving up your rooms to Marie and Joey-chan?" "Of course, mistress," Ichiro said. "Since I moved in with Keiko, I've had no need of my room, mistress." "Of course, they may have my room," Sanjuro answered. Midnight honestly sighed then. "Thank you. I will need your help now more than ever." Midnight then turned her attention to Joey and asked in English, "Would you like to come with us, Joey? I'm sure we can get lunch after we're done somewhere, although we won't be eating out often." "I want to go with Marie," Joey responded and took her hand. "Very well," Midnight said and turned to her boys. "Have their rooms ready by the time we get back?" "Yes, mistress," the 4 Midnight boys yelled, and Midnight led Marie and Joey out to call a cab. The trip wasn't very long, about 15 minutes give or take if Marie had to guess. During that time, Midnight told them about her boys. All of them were at the end of their partnership with her. They were ready to branch out and be pro-heroes on their own. Marie wanted to ask more personal questions, but not in front of Joey. They arrived at their destination, and Midnight helped Marie out of the car. Joey knocked on the door and Midnight yelled, "Recovery Girl? Are you home?" "Give me a minute," an old lady answered. "Say, how old is Recovery Girl?" "Joyet. She was the nurse at UA when Joseph Kuhn and I attended together. Other than that I won't say because it's rude to ask about a lady's age," Midnight answered as the door opened. "Ah, you must be Joey-chan and Marie-chan. Come in, dears, come in," the old woman, Recovery Girl, said. Marie guessed that Recovery Girl was short, smaller than Joey even, but they followed her in. "Wait, Joey Marie, take off your shoes and leave them at the door." This is Recovery Girl's private residence after all, Midnight said. Marie and Joey did as she said, and Marie was handed some slippers to wear before they continued inside. Marie was led to a comfortable couch to sit on. Now then, it's my understanding that you have some terrible burns on your eyes. Were any other parts of your body affected? Recovery Girl asked. No, doctors told me I was lucky, only my eyes and the area around them were affected, Marie answered honestly. I see. May I look at your injuries? Recovery Girl asked. Yes, Marie agreed, and Recovery Girl removed the bandages from her head. Midnight took a sharp breath, as did Recovery Girl. Can you open your eyes at all? Recovery Girl asked. No, Marie answered. All right. Before we do this, I will be honest, your injury is an old one. My quirk allows me to speed up the healing process, but it works best when it's a fresh injury. Also, eye injuries are one of the most delicate. If your pupils or nerves are injured, I might not be able to restore your sight, Recovery Girl said. Marie swallowed then. So, I might always be blind. I'm afraid so, Recovery Girl said. Do you still wish to try? Marie thought about it. She came all this way to get her eyes healed. She couldn't think of any other solution. The doctors back home told her that her injury was too severe to operate on it, only a healing quirk could help, but those were so rare that only a dozen people throughout the entire world had that power. This was probably her only chance, and it probably wouldn't work. Marie grit her teeth and said, Do it? Recovery Girl sighed. Very well. Marie felt as soft lips, a grandmother's lips, touched her above her nose and between her eyes. See. She felt as the burns on her face softened, and new flesh was formed as the scars seemed to fall off her eyes, like the scales off of Saul's face in the Bible. Marie felt as her eyelids opened. She blinked, and blinked, and blinked, and saw only darkness. I can't see, Marie said as she said this. Tears fell from her eyes. I'm sorry, Marie-chan, Recovery Girl said. Your pupils were burnt off by the heat of the flames. I can heal almost any injury, but if the organ isn't there to be healed, there's nothing I can do. I understand, Marie said as her mother went to her and pulled her into a hug. Marie, we will find a way, I promise you, I will find a way to give you your sight back, she promised. Surgery can help, but it will be expensive, extremely expensive. And even then, I'm afraid it might not work, Recovery Girl said. Why? Marie asked. Recovery Girl explained, quirks have radically altered the human genome. Before they appeared, transplants between relatives and genetic matches were the best way to deal with these types of injuries. But after quirks appeared, genetic matches were not enough. If the quirk isn't a perfect match or nearly perfect, then the body will reject the transplant. My best guess, surgery only has a 3% chance of total success. Thank you for telling me the truth, Marie said, and reached out to try to shake Recovery Girl's hand. Recovery Girl took it with both hands. Marie-chan, there is another who might help, but she isn't ready yet. There is a little girl that Aizawa adopted. Her quirk is reversal. She can reverse any organic thing to a previous state. She once healed a student at UA, but she hasn't used her quirk since. Why? Marie asked. Her quirk is powerful. If she loses control, she could reverse you back to the state where you didn't even exist. For this reason, we've had to be very delicate with her. She may be able to help, but that will take years before she has mastered her quirk enough that your life won't be in danger, Recovery Girl explained. I see, Marie said. What is the girl's name? Her name is Arie. She recently turned 8 years old, Recovery Girl explained. Thank you, Marie said. Are you still determined to become a hero? Recovery Girl asked. Yes, no matter what, Marie answered without hesitation. Then I have some numbers for Midnight to call. You'll need teachers to help you adjust, and I suspect you'll need a Japanese teacher for Joey-chan, Recovery Girl said as she left. Marie heard the tap of her cane as she went to get papers. Recovery Girl gave the papers to Midnight, and the family headed out of Recovery Girl's house. Thank you for all your help, Sensei, Midnight said and bowed. Marie and Joey bowed to the old heroine as well. You take care now, and don't take any stupid risks. That's all I ask, Recovery Girl said. With that, Midnight, Marie, and Joey headed back to the cab. Izuku had butterflies in his stomach as he, his mom, and Uraraka walked through the mall. UA started up next week, and they wanted to get some last-minute school shopping done. Izuku had invited Uraraka and Ida both to come, but Ida had politely declined. He was going to spend some time with his family at a hot spring, leaving Izuku and Uraraka alone, with his mom of course. It had been too long since he and his mom had gone somewhere. She had been beside herself when she heard he was bringing his friend who was a girl, just a friend who happened to be a girl, with them. Izuku was happy that they were getting along so well. Uraraka and his mom had been talking about a number of things. They had similar interests in movies, books, and Uraraka and Izuku told his mom about life in the dorms, minus the scarier episodes. Uraraka was dressed in a cute pink dress with a ruffled skirt and her usual black leggings and sneakers, while his mom wore her usual outfit, and Izuku was dressed in a new red classic all-might costume shirt and regular jeans with his usual red shoes. "Isn't that a little warm?" his mom had asked when she saw the long-sleeved shirt. "It's fine, Mom, the weather's gotten a little cooler, and this is my first chance to wear it," Izuku told her as they walked. The truth was he didn't want his mom to see his scars. He knew how much it always upset her to see them, and he didn't want her mood to be ruined. It was a beautiful day and she had met the SC, one of the most important people in his life. "All right," Uraraka said, "all that's left are notebooks and some erasers. I think we should stop for lunch. Is that all right, Midoriya-san?" "That's just fine, Uraraka-chan. I admit, I'm starting to feel a little hungry," Izuku's mom said, just as her stomach grumbled. The older woman was blushing as they headed for the mall's food court. Just as they got there, Izuku saw something he didn't expect. Sitting at a table with a bag full of school supplies and 2 African-American children was Midnight. "Uraraka-san, look, it's Midnight Sensei," Izuku said, and indicated in her direction. "Oh wow, who are those people she's with?" Uraraka asked. Izuku's mom said. "One of our teachers from school, over there," Izuku told her, and she looked. Midnight Sensei was dressed in a suit more suited for an office and hadn't seen them, but was looking at one of the people with her. He looked like a little boy about 8 years old. "Oh my," Izuku's mom said, "Namuri-chan?" She accidentally spoke louder than she meant to, drawing the pro hero's attention to her. "Namuri-chan?" Uraraka and Izuku both exclaimed in surprise as Midnight turned to her and looked like she recognized his mom. Midnight got up and walked over. When she was close she said, "Inkone-san, is that you?" "In the flesh," Izuku's mom said, shocking the teens into silence at her familiarity with the 18-plus hero. "Okasan, how do you know Midnight Sensei?" Izuku managed to get out. "Oh, Midoriya-kun, and Uraraka-chan too." Midnight finally noticed them. "Let me explain, your mother was my babysitter when I was a little girl." Izuku's eyes nearly popped out of his skull and he started mumbling/ranting. "My mother knew Midnight toss a little girl sure babysitter she helped raise her. How did I not know this fact to never ask Tokusan about their life growing up? Did check know their pro heroes dash?" Izuku, his mom snapped him out of his episode. "Calm down dear, we can explain while we eat." Sorry, I was just surprised," Izuku said. "Well, come on, I think we can move a table over to talk," Midnight said, not bothered at all as they went to her seat. "Let me introduce you," Midnight said and introduced the children she was with. One was a 16-year-old girl. She looked very beautiful, wore dark sunglasses and was dressed in a midriff-bearing white top with long sleeves and jeans that ended mid-calf with white sandals. She also had wolf ears and tail with her long hair in a ponytail. "This is Marie," Midnight introduced, and then pointed to the boy. He had darker skin than the girl and yellow eyes with white hair and was dressed in a yellow Present Mic shirt with jeans shorts and white sneakers. "And this is Joey. They're my adopted children." "Oh my, it's nice to meet you, Izuku's mom. I'm Midoriya Inko. I was your new mom's babysitter when she was a little girl. This is my son, Izuku, and his friend, Uraraka Ochako-chan. They're students of your new mom's." "It's nice to meet you all," Marie said in flawless Japanese as she stood up and bowed. Joey did the same and said in more accented Japanese, "It's nice to meet you. Namuri-chan, you taught them very good manners," Izuku's mom said, "and they speak good Japanese as well." "Oh no, they're still learning and I can't claim all the credit for their Japanese," Midnight said. "I hired some good tutors for Joey-chan, and Marie was already a good speaker." That's wonderful. Give me a minute to get our food and we can talk more, Izuku's mom said as she, Izuku, and Uraraka went to the restaurants in the food court to look for lunch. It was decided they would split a pepperoni pizza from Pizza House, and the three of them sat down with Midnight, Marie, and Joey to eat. Incarnation, it certainly seems a lot has happened to you, Midnight said. Well, that's life for you, marriage, child, life, Izuku's mom said. That sounds nice, actually, Midnight said. I admit, I like being a hero, but sometimes, it can be overwhelming. You've certainly managed just fine, Namuri-chan, Izuku's mom assured the pro-hero. Trust me, my life has been quite the handful, Midnight said. The women stopped talking about their lives and went to less substantial matters while the teens all ate. When they were done eating, Izuku's mom said, Izuku, why don't you show Marie-chan and Joey-chan around the mall? I'm sure you kids don't want to be with grown-ups all day. Are you sure, Oka-san? Izuku asked her. Of course, I'm sure you kids would like to have a little time to yourselves, his mom assured him. All right, Midoriya-san, Uraraka answered for him, then turned to Marie and Joey, let's go. All right, Marie said and pulled a purse out of her seat, then pulled a cylinder out. She pressed a button on the cylinder, and it unfolded into a walking stick. All right, let's go, Marie said. Izuku and Uraraka were a little surprised to see Marie needed the stick as she tapped the ground and started to walk to them. All right, Izuku managed. Where would you like to go, Marie-san? Are there any music stores here? I want to download some songs on my phone, Marie said. Joey, where do you want to go? Do they have manga here? Joey. Actually, Uraraka said, the manga store is right next to the music store. Well, lead the way then, Marie said. Izuku and Uraraka started heading to the stores, hearing Marie's walking stick, and saw Joey clinging to his sister's hand. So, Uraraka said after the adults were out of sight, how do you two like Japan? It's not too different from home, Marie said, although if I could see it would probably be a different story for me. I miss home, Joey admitted. Learning Japanese so I know where I'm going is hard. You've certainly managed just fine, Joey-chan, Uraraka assured him, then switched to English. Would us talking in English help you? Please, Joey asked in English. Okay, Uraraka said in English, although her native Japanese accent was obvious. So, Marie, Izuku said, and his mind stopped. What can it talk about me English is alright but I have so many questions about their blindness on living was night sense where do I start? Deku, Uraraka said, you're mumbling aloud again. Oh, sorry, Izuku said in English. It's okay, Marie said, the fact is, us being here and my blindness are related. I don't mind talking about it. Alright, can you tell us if it's not too much trouble of course, Izuku asked. Marie stopped and so did everyone else as Marie told her story. Back in America, our father was a pro-hero, Wolfheart. His quirk was called Wolfman. He could turn into a wolfman, like the old horror movies. My quirk is related, but not the same as his. It's called lycanthrope. Think of it as an evolution of his quirk. I was training to be a hero like him. Dad trained me. I was the 15th out of 100 students in my school, Rogers and Stark High School. During his career, he made an enemy of a villain named Pyromaniac. Pyromaniac is a sadist, serial killer, and pyrophiliac. He gets a sexual thrill from fire, and the more turned on he is, the stronger he becomes. In the grand scheme of things, Pyromaniac is just hired muscle. However, Dad thwarted a number of his robberies, and in his last one, Dad took one of his eyes. Pyromaniac went even more insane, and vowed revenge on Dad. 2 months ago, he got his revenge. He attacked us while we were out for lunch, and he had his own thugs to help him. We were completely blindsided. Marie stopped, and tears fell from beneath her sunglasses. Joey squeezed her hands, and his body glowed a soothing shade of blue. Marie took a deep breath, and Izuku said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. You don't have to continue if you don't want to. Marie said, I'm fine now. Joey inherited both Mom and Dad's quirks. Her quirk was soothing touch. I'm calm now. As I was saying, Mom was killed instantly. She only had time to push Joey out of the way. Dad and I immediately transformed and went on the attack. The thugs were easy, none of them knew how to really fight, but Pyromaniac was another story, and we were outnumbered 12-2. The cowards went after Joey, and Dad went to protect him. I thought I was ready, and tried to fight Pyromaniac alone. I underestimated him. I thought he was just a strong thug, but he knew how to fight even without his quirk. When the thugs were taken care of, Dad went to help me, but just as he arrived, Pyromaniac got my eyes with his fire, blinding me. Dad tried to help me, distracting him long enough for Pyromaniac to kill him too. By then, other heroes had arrived, and Pyromaniac ran. After we buried Mom and Dad, their will was shown, and Kayama Namuri, aka Midnight, was named as our legal guardian. He and Dad knew each other a long time ago, when Dad was a foreign exchange student in Japan. We moved here 6 weeks ago. Midnight took us to see Recovery Girl, hoping she could heal my eyes, but my pupils were destroyed by the fire, so I'm still blind, Marie said, and took off her sunglasses to show her eyes. They were a beautiful shade of blue, but where most had pupils, she had white scars instead. Marie finished explaining. Recovery Girl recommended some tutors to teach me how to adjust to blindness, and teach Joey Japanese. This is the first time we've been out for something not tutoring related since then. I'm so sorry, Uraraka said. Don't be. This is just a setback for me. I'm still alive, and I'm still going to be a hero, Marie said. Uraraka and Izuku could only stare at her in shock. A blind girl becoming a hero? I take it you think I can't do it, Marie said in Japanese. Well, I'll do it anyway. My dad trained me to use my body to the fullest extent, and I've been training to adapt to being blind. Yeah, but villains are vicious, Uraraka said. Marie just silently pointed to her eyes, making Uraraka blush at how stupid her statement was. Marie sighed. I know you're only looking out for me, trying to be nice. But I'm gonna do it, and nothing less than an act of God will stop me. Just as she finished speaking, the lights in the mall immediately shut off. What's going on? Why is the power out? Is it a storm? That was when they got their answer as a villain flew through the air. Did you see that? Uraraka said, let's go Deku. Right? Izuku said, and quickly focused his power. One for all, full cowl, 15% he's heading for the electronics, I'll cut him off, you get Midnight Sensei. Izuku yelled as he ran off at full speed, jumping and bouncing off the walls of the mall as he moved at superhuman speed, using the light of the lightning his body gave off in full cowl mode to light his way. He quickly caught up with the villain. He was glowing with electricity, and he saw it was an old man dressed in a black suit. He was bald but had a beard down his chest. The old villain saw Izuku and said, very good, young man. You're pretty fast. But are you faster than lightning? The old villain blasted lightning at Izuku, and he quickly dodged it, hitting the ground. He quickly jumped up in time to barely avoid a second bolt, but it was close enough for his hair to stand up. I need more speed, full cowl, 25%. The young hero upped the power and found it easier to dodge the villain's electricity. He's old, but he's fast and experienced. But at this output I can get time to think. He has the range advantage, but I'm not trying to beat him, just distract him for Midnight Sensei to show up and use her quirk to knock him out. Just then, Izuku saw a massive fur shoot past him, just as fast as his own full cowl 20% speed. What was that? Izuku yelled out loud, before the creature jumped up towards the villain. The villain was still focused on Izuku, and didn't see the creature before it jumped up with incredible strength and landed a kick to his chin. The old villain was knocked out instantly, and he immediately stopped glowing, and the power immediately turned back on in the mall, as Uraraka showed up with Midnight Sensei. Good job, Deku. You got him, Uraraka said. But I didn't do this, Izuku said, and then saw the one who did defeat the villain. It looked like Marie. Only covered in fur, her fingernails now 2.5 centimeter long claws, and her teeth were sharp-looking fangs. Marie, did you do this? Midnight asked. Hell yeah, the old fart didn't know what hit him, Marie boasted in Japanese as Midnight got a pair of quirk-nullifying handcuffs from her purse and put them on the old villain before he regained consciousness. The old villain got up and saw Midnight. Am I in heaven? Sorry, but not yet, Midnight told him as police arrived to apprehend the villain. Thank you, Midnight, one officer said. I just showed up after it was over, Midnight said. My students are the ones that took him down, Midoriya-kun and Marie-chan. Thank you for your help, young heroes. The officers saluted Izuku and Marie, and they took the old villain away. Well, that was exciting, Marie said as her fur went back into her body as her nails shrank down and her teeth returned to normal. I want to go home. Everyone turned and saw Joey. Are you sure, Joey-chan? Marie caught the villain, Midnight told him. Joey only nodded and went to hold his older sister's hand. All right, we'll go home. We got everything we needed anyway, Midnight said, then turned to Izuku and Uraraka, and quickly running over Inko. Izuku, are you all right? Were you hurt? She asked, looking over him. Oka-san, I'm all right. He never touched me, and I got enough control not to hurt myself now. Marie-kun defeated him while I kept him distracted, Izuku explained. Izuku's mom sighed in relief. What a relief. Marie-chan, Namuri-chan explained that you wanted to go to UA High School with Izuku and Uraraka-chan. From what I hear, you'll do just fine. Thank you, Midoriya-san, Marie said and bowed to her. She turned her attention to Izuku and Uraraka. See you guys later. Midoriya, you're pretty good at what you do. Can't wait to spar you someday. Uraraka, looking forward to seeing what you can do. Bye. With that, Joey and Midnight said their goodbyes, and the family left. Izuku thought about Marie's performance as she left, and immediately took out his notebook and started writing. Marie, last name Unkone, quirk, lycanthrope. She took a deep breath when she realized they finally made it to the world-famous UA Academy. She was in her uniform, backpack on her back, carrying a special laptop. Because of her blindness, she would need to relearn how to write in Japanese. Until she accomplished this, she would use a special Braille laptop computer that her teachers would download their lessons onto. Joey would be going to a nearby elementary school, Yuta Elementary. He would take their advanced program in most subjects except for history, Japanese, and homeroom. Joey would be going soon, after Midnight dropped him off at class. Aizawa finally walked over. Freeman, follow my voice, you'll be in my homeroom. Yes, sensei, Marie said, then turned around and waved goodbye to Joey as their cab headed for his school. Marie followed the sound of Aizawa's footsteps and quickly caught up with him. Sensei, thank you for helping me come here, she told him as they walked. Aizawa grunted affirmatively, but then said, don't thank me yet. I might still expel you if you fail to meet my standards. If you step out of line too far, I'll expel you. If you prove to be a danger to your fellow students, I'll expel you. The fact is, Freeman, that I owe you nothing, the same for your late father. If I didn't think you had a chance to succeed, I wouldn't have agreed to help you get in. But that's all I'll do for you from here on. You are just another student I have to teach, nothing more, nothing less. Marie nodded. I understand, Aizawa-sensei. They were silent the rest of the way, until Aizawa opened a door and Marie followed him inside. Oh, I forgot, Aizawa said. We've had Braille signs added to the walls, so you can find your way. Just check the corners of the walls. Thank you, sensei, Marie said, then smelled a third person in the room. Ida-kun, I should have known you would be here early on the first day, Aizawa said. Good morning, Aizawa-sensei. I want to always set a good example for my fellow students. As Class 1, I mean, Tungei's class representative, it is my duty after all, Ida said. I would have spoken up earlier, but I did not wish to interrupt your explanation to our proud school's newest student. Very well, Aizawa said, and Marie heard a sleeping bag being put on and zipped up. Introduce yourselves, tell your new classmate whatever she wants to know. I need to rest. Marie turned her attention to the class representative, Ida, and said, Good morning, my name is Marie Freeman, I'm a transfer student here. It is nice to meet you. She bowed to Ida and heard him say, and a good morning to you as well, Freeman. As I said earlier, I am the class representative for our class, 2A. My name is Ida Tenya, I look forward to working with you. Let us work hard to become great heroes together. Thank you, Marie said and asked, So, is there any desk where I may sit? Desks have not been assigned, so you may sit next to me if you wish, Ida said, and Marie thought she heard his hands moving through the air. She followed the noise of his voice and managed not to run into any desks. Freemanson, I feel I must say that your sunglasses are a violation of the school's dress code, unless you require them for your quirk, Ida said as Marie sat down. All right, Marie said, and took her sunglasses off and put them in her backpack and turned her head in his direction. I see. Ida was fumbling a little, so Marie decided to be blunt. Yeah, I'm blind. For over 2 months now, 3 next week. But I've been getting tutoring to help me, and UA has allowed me some accommodations. Don't let it bother you too much. She heard Ida nod. I apologize if I have offended you in any way. The fact that you are here is proof enough that your injuries have not been an obstacle for you. Apology accepted, Marie said, and then leaned closer to him and took a deep smell. Ida Tenya smelled of soap, cologne, and she detected the smell of a machine's engine as well. Ida-san, did you know that one's quirk can affect their natural body odor? She asked. No, I did not. Although that does make sense, since one's quirk affects your biology. Why do you ask? Ida responded. You smell faintly like a machine engine. Is your quirk related to engines? Marie asked. Indeed, my quirk is called engine. I have natural engines within my legs that allow me bursts of superhuman speed. I take it your quirk is related to wolves. Ida said. Sort of, Marie said. My quirk is called lycanthrope. I'm basically like a werewolf. Marie then demonstrated and transformed, letting her fur out as her teeth turned into sharp fangs while her nails became even sharper claws. That is quite a quirk. You should do well here. We have many students with similar animal-like quirks, although I will let my fellow students speak for themselves, Ida said. For the next hour Marie and Ida talked alone. Ida told her about the last year in UA, while she told him about her life in America in return. Soon another student showed up. This one was a female who smelled like fancy perfume. Good morning, Ida-san, the girl who smelled like fancy perfume said. Good morning, Yairose-san, it is good to see you. I was just telling our newest fellow student about our first year in UA Freeman-san. This is Yairose Momo, our vice class representative. Yairose-san, this is Marie Freeman. She is a transfer student from America. Ida greeted Yairose and introduced her and Marie. Marie and Yairose Momo bowed to each other and Yairose said, It's nice to meet you, Freeman-san. May I ask which part of America you are from? Marie smiled. I'm a South Carolina girl, born and bred. The city of Somerville to be specific, birthplace of sweet iced tea. Wonderful, my family once vacationed in South Carolina, in Columbia. The museums were quite a treat, Yairose said. Yeah, my parents used to take us to the State Museum and Children's Museum every summer. My little brother, Joey, loved it all the time. He's more of a history buff than me, though I always looked forward to the American Civil War exhibits, Marie said as they talked about the museums and explained some of the history of South Carolina to Ida, who listened very carefully. Soon the rest of the class came, and Marie got a chance to smell all of her new classmates. Yairose Momo smelled unique, a blend of many different smells, like a market and mall rolled into one. Tsu Ajui smelled like a frog, appropriate to her quirk, while Tokoyami Fumikage smelled strange as well, a mixture of crow and nothingness, which he explained was because of his quirk, Dark Shadow. Mineta Minoru smelled like glue and grapes, Ashido Mina like battery acid, Todoroki Shudo had another odd smell, like boiling water. He explained he had a hybrid quirk like Joey. In his case he could control both fire and ice. Mashireo Ojiro had an especially strong smell, though it was only stronger than a normal human smell. He said it was because of a thick, strong tail he had that Marie was allowed to touch. It gave her a number of ideas. Aoyama Yuga smelled like a belly button and plasma. Hagakure Toru smelled like a mirror, explained by her quirk being invisibility. Jiraikyokya smelled slightly of earwax, while the boy she came in with, Kaminari Denki, smelled like a live electrical wire. Shuji Mizo had a strong smell like Mashireo, because his body could grow extra body parts. Siro Hanta smelled like tape, Satarikido smelled of sugar and adrenaline, while Kuda Kuji smelled like a blend of animals, almost like a zoo or forest, while Kirishima Aijuru smelled like solid steel. The next student to come, however, was Bakugu Katsuki. He walked up and said, Hey, what are you losers looking at? Hello, Marie introduced herself. I'm Marie Freeman. I transferred here from America. It's nice to meet you. Whatever. I don't give a shit either way, extra, Bakugo said, and sat on his seat. Bakugo, that is no way to treat our new comrade. She has been nothing but courteous to you. Ida chastised him. It's all right, Ida. I've dealt with jerks back home. They're never worth your time, Marie said. That set Bakugo off, as he stood up and stopped over to her. You think you can take me on, Kuriko? He yelled in her face. Marie's eyebrows raised. Did you seriously just call me black girl in Japanese? Yeah, what's it to you? Bakugo yelled, this time slamming his hand on her desk and making an explosion. She smelled his nitroglycerin sweat clearly then. I found the school bully/asshole. Well, at least everyone else around here is nice. My name is Marie Freeman. I don't care if you use honorifics or not, but I'd like it if you called me by my name. And just so you know, yeah, if we ever fought seriously, I'd beat you down hard, Marie told him. Everyone gasped at this, and Bakugo's hands went off like a string of fireworks. Bring it on, Korkeo, Bakugo yelled, making sure to emphasize every syllable. Freeman-san. Bakugo-san. This isn't appropriate behavior for heroes in training. Ida yelled. Bakugo. Cool off, man. Kirishima and Kaminari both yelled. That's enough. Aizawa-sensei yelled, and all of a sudden Marie felt as if 100 tons was on her. Begging, Marie-kun, one more outburst in class and I'll expel you both. Understood, the veteran hero declared. Yes, Aizawa-sensei, Marie said. Bakugo only clicked his tongue, but she thought she heard his hair move in a nodding motion, and the feeling that she was weighed down disappeared. That was when Midoriya and Uraraka finally arrived, just before the bell could ring. Everyone to your desks, Ida yelled, and everyone sat down. Now then, since introductions have already been made, Aizawa said as he stepped out of his sleeping bag, there's no need for me to make any formal announcements about our new transfer student. That said, I want you all to change into your gym suits. I hope you remember your first year. It's time for your second-year quirk apprehension test. If you don't show a marked improvement since last year, then I hope you're ready for extreme remedial courses. Yes, sir, everyone said. Marie grabbed Uraraka's shoulder as they left and said, Do you mind if you help me get to the changing room? Go ahead. Do you want to just take my hand instead? Uraraka asked. Sure, Marie said. As Uraraka took her hand, Marie noticed her fingertips had soft pads on them, like soft calluses almost. As they walked, she said, Uraraka, your fingertips have these pads on them. Is it related to your quirk? Yeah, Uraraka confirmed. My quirk is zero gravity. Basically, if I touch something with all my fingers, it shuts its gravity off. Cool, I bet you can make guys' jaws drop in the gym with that quirk, Marie chuckled. Uraraka snorted at that, only if they didn't know my quirk, but after a year, all our classmates know. That makes sense. Almost everyone I've talked with, I could smell what their quirk was related to, except for you, Tokoyami, and Midoriya, Marie said. Really? Uraraka asked. It's the weirdest thing, Marie said as they walked. With all other strength-enhancing quirks I've come across, they reeked of testosterone or adrenaline, of something a mixture of both. But not him. That is strange, Uraraka agreed. Oh look, we're here. The girls went into their changing room and Ashido said, Oh look, there's a uniform for Freeman-chan. Huh, I was wondering why Aizawa-sensei didn't give me one, she said. She lifted up the plastic-wrapped clothes and felt a sticky note on it. Hey, what does this note say? She asked the room. Azui answered, It says, to Marie, knock him dead. Thanks, Azui-san, Marie said as she opened the package. You can call me Tsuyu-chan, Tsuyu said. Thanks again, Tsuyu-chan, Marie corrected herself. The frog girl caroled happily as Marie started changing her clothes. Holy cow! Ashido exclaimed, Are those real? Huh. Marie responded. Those abs. Those muscles. You could carve meat on your bod. Ashido declared, and the other girls gave noises of agreement. Oh yeah. My quirk naturally increases all my physical abilities tenfold, Marie explained as she transformed and started putting her gym uniform on, so my dad helped me train my body to be as strong, fast, tough, flexible, basically to make me the best I could be to take full advantage of it. I'm no all might, but I'm pretty dang strong when I go all out. Checked, I weigh about 152 pounds, I think that's about 69 kilograms. There were others stronger than me, but pound for pound, I was one of the strongest people at my old school, Rogers and Stark High. How strong are you, anyway? Jair asked. Last time I lifted weights, I bench pressed 300 pounds, about 136 kilograms in my normal form, Marie answered. All the girls gasped at that. 136 kilos? Tor yelled. Yeah, hey, it's not like I was born this strong, I had to work hard for years, ever since I was 6 and decided I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps. Anyone can get the same results if they work hard and long enough for it, Marie said. All right, Yayarosa said, I think that's enough prying, we need to get outside. All the girls agreed, and they quickly headed outside where the quirk apprehension test was being held. Once all the students were assembled, the quirk apprehension test started. For the first event, the 50-meter dash, Marie managed to pass it at 2.84 seconds. For grip strength, she came out with 597.3 kilograms, easily cleared the sandbox for the standing long jump, and she was sure she had done the equivalent of a mile run in the repeated side steps test. For sit-ups she managed to do an even 60 in 1 minute and held her seated toe touch the entire time. The second to last test was the one where Marie really shined. The ball throw. She went after Bakugu, and he managed to toss his ball, with an explosion that sent it flying at 854.6 meters. Bakugu laughed and growled, beat that Deku. And the same goes for you, Kuriko. Now, I'm getting annoyed, Marie said as she was handed her ball and Aizawa led her to where she had to go. Marie cracked her neck as she focused, she was determined to do better than him. She hefted the ball with her right hand and wound it up like a baseball, put her weight on her right foot, and then lifted up her left leg high. With a vicious howl that would have woken the dead, Marie threw the ball with all her might, from her legs to her core, to her chest, shoulders, arm, wrist. She focused every ounce of strength she had and tossed the ball harder than she ever threw anything before. The other students of Class 2A gasped as the ball went flying, and after a few seconds Aizawa told Marie, you sent it 855.1 meters. Marie took a deep breath and turned her body towards Bakugu, who was already seething, and she set him off even more when she polished her bicep before said, eat it, Bakugo. Bakugu glared at her, she could feel it, but he lowly growled, I'll kill you if we ever fight. Enough, Aizawa said, and Midoriya went next, the last student to go. Marie focused her senses on him, wanting to try to see if she smelled his quirk. She heard as static electricity. No, this was a different energy, the lightning around him was just a little different in sound quality and smell, she didn't know what it was. She heard as he took his stance, and then heard the sound of a sonic boom as he threw the ball. Marie screamed in pain from the loud volume and flattened her wolf ears to the top of her head to avoid any more pain. After a few seconds, Aizawa showed the class Midoriya's score, and everyone gasped. What is it? What's his score? Marie asked. 1003.7 meters. Uraraka exclaimed. Midoriya-kun, how's your arm? Aizawa asked. It's just fine, Aizawa-sensei. Midoriya said, and Marie heard him clench his fist to prove it. On to the final test then, Aizawa declared, and led them all to a running track and field for the distance run. Marie raced her heart out, determined to humiliate Bakugu again, and before she realized it, it was over. She heard the others perform the distance run, and once it was over, Aizawa displayed the results. Wow, Deku! You made first place. Uraraka said. What did I make? Marie asked. Let's see, wow, you made third place, Marie. Good job. Uraraka told her. Marie smiled. What about Bakugu? He's in fourth, Uraraka informed her. Marie turned to where she was sure Bakugu was and smirked at him. Let it go, man, Kirishima said. You kind of asked for it. Marie sighed as she deactivated her quirk and returned to her normal form. She was tired but happy. This was a good day for her. Yoda Elementary didn't look too different from his old elementary school, Marshall Elementary School, back in South Carolina. Joey was thankful for that as he hiked up his green and blue book bag and stepped out of the taxi with Midnight. She was wearing a trench coat. It was cold enough for no one to comment on it, but he could tell her hero costume was underneath it. He was wearing an American shirt with one of the first heroes, Lieutenant Liberty, on it with regular jeans and red shoes and a yellow coat on. Are you nervous? Midnight asked him in English as they entered the school. Joey said, yeah. Joseph was the same way when he first came to you, she told him encouragingly. It was the cutest thing, this big strong Yankee nervously walking the halls. But he quickly adjusted. They reached his homeroom, Class 3F, and Midnight knelt down to his eye level and looked at him with her deep blue eyes. Joey, I see so much of your father in you. Not just in looks, you have his brave and kind heart as well, Midnight said and pointed at Joey's chest. Let it lead you, okay? Joey nodded, and Midnight gave him a small kiss on the top of his head before walking away. Bye, Joey told her, and she waved back at him before leaving the hall. Joey took one more deep breath and went into the classroom. Other children his age was already there. It was an eclectic bunch with 9 boys and 10 girls already seated. Some didn't look human, like one girl who looked like a mud monster, while a boy looked like some kind of bird monster, while others were clearly human, with hair nearly every color of the rainbow. Only 3 people, 2 boys and 1 girl, looked like they were what passed as normal in the pre-Quark era. Everyone stared at him after 5 seconds, and Joey realized nervously that he was the only non-Japanese kid in the classroom. He swallowed and greeted them all in Japanese. Hello, it is nice to meet you. My name is Joseph Freeman Jr., but you can call me Joey. Joey bowed so low and quickly that his backpack slid up his back and was on top of his head. Everyone was quiet, until one girl with long white hair and a small horn protruding from her head greeted him. Hello, Joey. My name is Aizawa Arie. You can come sit next to me if you want. Thank you, Aizen, Joey said, and quickly sat next to her. He saw that Arie was wearing a dark red dress with long white sleeves. The red was the same shade as her eyes he saw when he sat down. So, what's a gaijin doing here? One boy finally said, and Joey looked up at him. He was one of the boys that looked normal. Joey saw that the boy was looking at him angrily, like he didn't like him already. I live here now, Joey said, with my sister and our adoptive mom. The boy snorted, and a strong wind blew from the boy's nostrils, enough to move loose papers and some girl's hair. You stop that right now, Saito-san, Arie said to the boy. Joey-san hasn't done anything to deserve you looking at him like that. The boy, Saito-san said, we don't need some gaijin to come here, thinking he's so big and tough, going to show us up. I only walked through the door. Joey declared, and then you just got all angry. Saito looked at Joey, and breathed in, enough for his chest to start expanding like a balloon. Before the door opened and a tall old woman, she must have been at least 6 feet tall with short white hair and a face full of wrinkles, walked in and said in a voice that was full of God's wrath, there will be no fighting in my classroom. She said it sternly without raising her voice above a leisurely volume, but Saito immediately deflated, literally, yes, sensei. Now then, the homeroom teacher, for who else could she be, said, my name is Ono Sakura, I shall be your homeroom teacher for the year. Good morning, class. Good morning, Ono-sensei, everyone greeted their teacher. Now then, let us have a good year, Ono-sensei said before starting roll call. Once roll call was finished, Ono-sensei said, since everyone is here, why don't we get to know each other better? For the next half hour, you will all write an essay about yourselves. You may write as much or little as you like, but I want you to make sure to write your favorite foods, things you hate, things you love, and what you'd like to be when you grow up. You may begin. Joey got out his notebook and started writing the things she asked down the students to write down, but didn't know what to write after that. I don't know if I want everyone to know my life. He and Marie had done some research online about Midnight, the scandal involving her original outfit, speculations about who she slept with, what her home was like, and things that Marie put a parental lock on her laptop for to keep him from seeing them. And even if he did tell the truth, who would believe him? They'd probably call him a liar. People might think he was a pervert. Arie could be his first real friend in Japan, and he didn't want her to think he was a pervert. He raised his hand and Ono-sensei said, yes, Joseph-chan? Ono-sensei, Joey started, do we have to read our reports in front of the class? Ono-sensei looked concerned before saying, I will not force you to read what you write if you do not want to. Thank you, sensei, Joey said before getting back to writing. Arie looked at him but said nothing as she focused on writing her own essay. Joey wrote about his life before his parents died, and stopped to take a deep breath before writing about the day they died, and everything that happened afterwards that he could. By the time the 30 minutes were up, Joey was amazed at how much he had written, all of it in Japanese. Joey whispered in English, "All those lessons paid off after all. Those who do not wish to read your essays to the class may turn them in to me now. Everyone else, you may read yours in the order I call you," Ono-sensei said. Joey and 5 other kids turned their essays into her before sitting down again. Joey went back to his desk and was surprised to see that Arie was first. Arie looked around and took a deep breath before telling her story. "I remember the first time that I smiled. I was at a cultural festival at UA, with Mirio and Ai-san and Deku and Ai-san. They were the heroes who saved me. Before, my life was filled with pain and misery. Many awful men tortured me to use my quirk to hurt other people. Mirio-san and Deku were the first people to ever be nice to me. Deku-san told me that my quirk was kind and gentle. Together, the 3 of us defeated Shisaki Kai and his Yakuza with the help of many more heroes. I had to stay in the hospital for a while, but Mirio and Ai-san and Deku and Ai-san visited me whenever they could, to help me feel better. When I got better, Mirio and Ai-san and Aizawa-san took me to the cultural festival. I had so much fun with everyone there, and even saw Deku and Ai-san in a play. Seeing my hero there was one of the best things to ever happen to me. And at the end of the cultural festival, he even gave me a candy apple, the best thing I've ever had. I've had more happy days since then, but I'll always remember that day as the best day of my life, the first time I ever smiled. I love apples and heroes. My favorite color is red. I hate the dark and birds, except for Tokoyami and Ai-san, and I hope that one day I can use my quirk like Deku and Ai-san said, to use it as a kind and gentle quirk, so I can help as many people as I can, like Deku and Ai-san and Mirio and Ai-san." Everyone looked at Arie as she walked back to her desk. Joey was amazed. He could tell that he wasn't the only one in class who had lived through some bad things. Arie's life sounded like it was much worse than his had been, until Deku-san and Mirio had helped her. "Wait, Deku, no way. She doesn't mean that green-haired guy that was with Uraraka-san, does she?" Joseph paid attention to the rest of class, but Arie was on the back of his mind as the school day went on. Eventually, it was time for lunch, and Joseph made sure to sit next to Arie, so he could talk to her. Midnight had packed a small bento box for him, with rice, peach slices, and chicken she had made for him. As he ate, he saw Arie had rice and chicken as well, only instead of peach slices, she had apple slices. Joey quietly ate as did Arie, and they finished eating around the same time. "Arie-chan," he said when she was done eating. "Yes, Joey-san," she responded. "That Deku-san you mentioned in your essay, does he have green hair, and eyes, and freckles on his face?" he asked her. Arie's eyes lit up a little, and she excitedly asked him, "Yeah. Did he save you too?" No, Joey quickly said, flustered, "but I did meet him, a few weeks before school started. My sister and I were school supply shopping with our adopted mom, and met him, and his mom, Midoriya-san, with his friend, Uraraka-san." Arie smiled. "It's nice to know he's doing well. I wish I could see him more, but Aizawa-san told me that heroes have busy lives. We still write though." Joey smacked his head. "Aizawa-sensei is your dad, isn't he? Always looks tired, long black hair, scar under his left eye." "Wow, you know him too?" Arie said. "Yeah," Joey admitted. "He's teaching my big sister at UA. Deku and Marie might be in the same class." "That's so cool," Arie said, when Saito blew a little air their way. "You really think anyone believes that story you told?" Saito said to Arie. "It's not a story." Arie told him, "It's the truth." "Leave her alone, Saito," Joey said, standing up. "You weren't there, so you don't know what happened." "I believe Arie-chan." Saito glared at Joey. "A gaijin and a liar together, how disgusting." Joey glared back at Saito, and Joey's eyes started to glow, like his father's would when he was angry. "I heard you saying you want to be a hero. You may have a good quirk, but you're just a bully. You don't have what it takes to be a real hero." Saito glared back at him and quietly said, "I'll show you what I can do at recess." Joey snorted as his eyes returned to normal. "Joey, I think that's a bad idea, Arie told him. If you fight on the first day of school, what will Ono-sensei say? Or your family? Joey took a second to take a deep breath, like his mom taught him, and let the anger in him go into his chest, and then flow out his feet into the ground. Mom and Dad always told me that a hero always stands up for people who need help. Especially for their friends, Joey said. Arie smiled a little at being called his friend, and then the bell rang. It was time for recess. All the kids went out to the school playground. Joey and Arie waited by the swings, and some of the other students from their homeroom came by. The mud girl and a boy with purple hair and pink eyes came over. Are you really fighting Saito? The purple-haired boy asked. Joey shrugged. I'm not going to run away from him. Aren't you Yamato and Higashikata? Right? The mud girl said. Her whole body was the shape of a girl, but her skin looked like it was always running, like a lit candle, and her eyes were all black. Yamato Rukia, that's me. And I'm Higashikata Jugo, the purple-haired boy said, and you're crazy if you think you can win against Saito. His quirk, Windbag, is crazy strong. He can blow all the leaves off a whole tree. He'll send you flying straight to the next prefecture. We know, we've been at school with him since kindergarten. Thanks for the warning, Joey said, but my dad was a hero, and my big sister is training to become a great hero too. They taught me how to use my quirk and how to fight with it. Dad fought a lot of bad guys that people said had better quirks than him, and he beat them anyway. And if push comes to shove, I can use my mom's quirk? Just as Joey said this, a powerful wind blew. Arie and Rukia both had to hold their skirts, so their underwear didn't show, and Joey had to brace himself like his dad had showed him, focusing his weight on his feet. Joey looked to see Saito smirking, and Joey took off his shoes and activated his dad's quirk. His feet morphed to be more wolf-like, while a tail sprouted from under his pants, and white fur covered his body. Joey's nails grew into 3/4-inch long claws and his jaw turned into an underbite that let his lower canines stick out past his lips. I'm not afraid of you, Saito, Joey said, his voice growing deeper and sounding more like a growl. His strength was multiplied by a factor of 8, not as strong as Marie, but strong enough. I don't want to fight, but I'm not going to run away from a bully like you either, Joey said as he got ready to run at Saito. He didn't see any teachers around, so that meant that if they fought, someone could get hurt before it was stopped. Saito smirked and breathed in deeply, until he looked like a balloon about to burst instead of a kid. Joey quickly ran at him as fast as he could and reached him just as he got ready to blow all that air out. Joey grabbed Saito's chin as it came down, and pointed his face up into the sky, then smacked him hard in his inflated body. Saito blew out his wind so hard that Joey struggled not to fall to his knees from the recoil. Joey grabbed Saito's shirt and turned around, flipping him over his shoulder like he'd seen Marie do to their dad. Saito hit the ground hard. Joey quickly got on top of him, pinning him down before deactivating his quirk. Saito looked at Joey, and his eyes were wide with fear. Saito, I don't want to hurt you anymore, alright? Let's just put this all behind us. Say you're sorry for calling Arie-chan a liar, and we can call this even, okay? Joey said. He meant every word. Marie and his dad only taught him how to fight so he would be safe, not so he would hurt people. A hero only hurt a villain as badly as they needed to stop the villain. After 10 seconds, Saito nodded, and Joey got off him. Saito walked over to Arie and bowed without looking at her. I'm sorry I called you a liar. He then turned and walked away from them. Rukia and Jugo looked at Joey with wide eyes as he got his shoes back on. You beat him, Jugo said. My big sister, Marie, and Dad taught me how to fight, and I used to watch my dad fight villains with quirks like Sato's on the computer. They always said to go straight in when your opponent tries a big move, Joey explained. Wow, Arie said, you'd make a great hero, Joey. I guess, he said, but I don't know. For the rest of the school day, nothing important happened, although he got to talk more with Jugo and Rukia. All in all, it wasn't a bad day for Joey. After her classes were done, Marie headed to her dorm room with the other girls helping her navigate through UA. If she completed her homework fast enough, then she could spend a few hours training in the dorm's gym. On entering, the other girls all looked around. Wow, it's definitely different, Ashido Mina said. I know, I just wanted to bring as much of home with me as I could, Marie admitted as she found her desk. Next to her desk was her mini fridge and a small stovetop heater, with kettle on. Her bed was on the far wall, while next to her door were 2 bookshelves filled with horror movies and novels, while her walls were decorated with an assortment of posters for Full Moon Tonight and horror movies, and one wall had the flag of the United States and South Carolina on it, under which was her father's Presidential Medal of Liberty, granted to heroes who went above the call of duty. Next to Marie's bed was a shrine for her deceased parents. So, Marie said, "Do you guys want any American iced tea? I got unsweetened, sweetened, and peach tea." "Sure," Tsuyu said. "I'll try it," Uraraka said. "Isn't that like really cold?" Jiro said. "Don't be rude," Ashido said. "Sounds nice," Yayarosa said. "Oh, I've always wanted to try peach tea," Toru said. Marie got some cups from a container under her bed and pointed out which teas were which. Toru and Yayarozu had peach tea, Jiro and Uraraka had unsweetened, while Tsuyu and Ashido had sweetened tea. Marie had peach tea and Ashido said, "Here's a toast. To our new swole girl, Marie. Welcome to you." The 7 girls clinked their plastic cups together as Marie heard them all say, "Welcome to you." "Thanks, girls," Marie said as she took a big swallow of her peach tea. "Wow, that is really sweet," Toru yelled. "I know, it's pretty much the only sugar I have, no more than 2 cups a day can ruin my diet," Marie said. "It's not as bad as I thought it would be," Uraraka commented. "Yeah, but wow. This tea is really sweet. Like candy or something," Ashido said. "The secret," Marie said as she opened her laptop, "is to add the sugar and stir it up while the tea is hot and fresh. That was how my grandma taught me to make it. I don't use as much for peach tea because the peach juice makes it good already. Hope you like it. That's genuine South Carolina tea, made in the Charleston tea plantation. South Carolina is the only state in the U.S. where tea can be grown." Jiro took a second sip. "It's good, but I don't think I'll make it a habit to drink cold tea in fall." The other girls agreed. Cold tea was definitely a summertime drink. The girls all sat and worked on their assignments together. Yayarozu was a great help for Marie. Her Japanese wasn't as good as she liked, and some of the more historical terms left her stumped, and soon they were all done with their assignments and just started talking. Marie told them about her life, including how she wound up in Japan, and received a lot of sympathy from her classmates in return. After an hour, there was a knock on the door. "Marie, Joey's here," Midnight said on the other side in English. "Doors open," Marie replied, and Marie came in with Joey beside her. "Oh hey," Ashido said in English, "you must be Joey. Your big sis was just talking about you." "Hi," Joey shyly greeted all the girls, and Marie thought she smelled some hormones coming off him and smirked. "Oh, he's so cute," Ashido said in Japanese, and the other girls agreed. If it wasn't for Joey's skin color, he'd have been as red as a tomato. "Well, that's it for homework, I'm heading to the gym. Wanna come, Joey?" Marie told her little brother. "Yeah, I saw some of the boys working out. Deku is pretty cool. He had this one guy, Kaminari, sitting on his back while he was doing push-ups, like you and Dad used to do," Joey excitedly said. "All right, let me change," Marie said. She grabbed her gym clothes and changed, after Joey was escorted out her room. Marie headed out with Joey, Uraraka, Yayarozu, Toru, and Ashido coming along, with Midnight leading them. Marie smelled the boys' sweat as they got close to the gym, and would be lying if she said it didn't excite her. She heard as Midoriya and Kaminari were now competing with Bakugo and Kirishima. 45, 46, 47. "I can make it to 100 way faster than you, shitty Deku," Bakugo yelled. "Mind if I join in?" Marie said as she walked in. "Go ahead," Midoriya said, only to be drowned out by Bakugo. "You're too late, Kuriko. You can't catch up to us." Marie's tail wagged at that as she smiled. Challenge accepted. "Uraraka, get on my back." "All right," Uraraka said as Marie got into position. "Hang on," Marie warned her as Uraraka grabbed Marie's shirt. Marie immediately started doing push-ups like her life depended on it, soon doing 30 in 35 seconds. "Hey!" Bakugo yelled, "No cheating, pink cheeks. Don't help that bitch by using your quirk." I am and not. Uraraka yelled as she struggled to hold on to Marie, who was moving like a bull riding machine, up and down, up and down. Go Marie! Joey yelled. More like Rokujugo, Yaoyorozu said as the whole class started watching the three-way contest. Marie, Midoriya, and Bakugo started slowing when they hit 90, but none of them stopped. Marie was sweating furiously, but kept on pushing, counting in English. 5. The three of them were all sweating furiously. It was a struggle to do push-up 99. Push too hard too early, focus. Even if you're not number one, you can always finish. That's what Dad always said. Marie was growling furiously as she yelled, 100. At the same time, Midoriya and Bakugo yelled, Hiki. Say what? Marie said as Uraraka got off her and she flopped to the ground. We're tied? Bakugo yelled, how the hell did these assholes tie with me? Kirishima said, yeah. That was the manliest contest I've ever seen. Freemanton, you're one manly girl. Marie laughed, I'll take that as a compliment. That was a compliment, Kaminari said, coming from Kirishima. Good job, Midoriya, Freeman-chan. Good job, Deku-san, a little girl yelled. Arie-chan, I didn't see you. Huh. Marie said as she realized that the smell of sweat and her own excitement for the contest led her to miss that a little girl was in the room. Midoriya, who's that? You got a little sister? Marie asked. Oh no, this is Arie-chan, Midoriya explained as he walked closer to Marie, holding Arie. Last year, I saved her from this Yakuza gang, the 8 precepts of death. They were monsters to her. She's an orphan, so UA kind of adopted her, although Aizawa-sensei is her usual guardian. Nice to meet you, Gun, Marie said, and held out her hand. Arie put her smaller hand in hers and Marie shook it. Are you Joey-san's big sister? Arie asked. Got it in one, Marie told her. You're really strong, Arie said, but Deku-san is stronger when he uses his quirk? Oh yeah? Marie asked. Yeah, Arie excitedly said. Deku-san beat Chisaki, and Chisaki turned into a giant monster, and Deku kicked him up into the sky. And then knocked him out with another kick. Pow! Midoriya bashfully laughed. It was a little more complicated than that, but I couldn't have done it without you, Arie-chan. Marie's jaw dropped. You mean she's serious? Midoriya answered. Well, Midoriya, spar me now. Marie excitedly said. You mean right now? Midoriya said. Yeah. After hearing that, I need to experience that myself. I've been itching to spar someone here. Just for like 3 minutes. Marie said. Everyone looked except for Marie, but she could smell the excitement coming off of her mother. This is a perfect opportunity for the power of youth to show itself. I'll even referee it. Midnight happily offered. Are you sure, sensei? Uraraka said. I mean, Deku-kun and sparring doesn't always. They'll be fine, Midnight cut her off. As soon as someone has sustained a terrible injury, I'll end the match. It'll only be for 3 minutes. That shouldn't be too bad. Come on, Midoriya, show me what you're made of, Marie said with a smile. Midoriya sighed. All right, but we need more space and time to stretch. Just follow me then, Midnight said, leading everyone out of the gym. No one wanted to miss this. Midnight led them to another building. Judging by the acoustics, it was a fairly large building, maybe enough to hold an entire passenger plane. Midnight explained, this is Training Center Alpha. It's rather simple, only a flat surface with sand, but it should prove adequate for our needs. Marie felt the ground. The sand wasn't too deep, just enough to cushion any falls. Now then, Midnight declared, this sparring match shall be 1 round of 3 minutes. The winner will be the one to make 10 points within that time limit. Strikes are worth 1 point, while pins and holds that last for 10 seconds will be worth 5 points. There will be no biting, no eye gouging, no attacks to the groin or ears. If I tell you to stop, you will stop, or else you will forfeit the bout. Do you agree to my rules? Marie nodded. I got it. Sounds fair, Midoriya said. Now, Midnight said, take 10 minutes to stretch you too. Marie did as ordered and started stretching. She could practically feel people's eyes on her when she touched her knuckles to the ground. She breathed deeply as she stretched, feeling her muscles loosen up, embracing the pain. As she stretched, Midnight said, "Marie, be careful. Midoriya-kun's quirk is one of the most powerful I've ever encountered. In fact, for a significant portion of his first year, he couldn't control it. Every time he used it, he would shatter his bones. Don't underestimate him." Marie grunted as she sat down, stretched her legs out and reached for her heels. "Isn't it cheating to give me advice? I'm going to tell Midoriya about you as well to make it fair. But as your mother, I want you to be careful. In a head-to-head confrontation, I have no doubt that he can beat you." "I understand," Marie said, "and thank you, cousin. But I need this. Even if I lose, this will help me keep moving forward." Midnight nodded and headed over to Midoriya. After the 10 minutes were up, Marie and Midoriya walked to the center of the training center. Marie clenched her right fist and brought it to chin height before wrapping her left over it and bowing to Midoriya. "Let's have a good fight." Midoriya was flustered, but bowed in the Japanese manner before saying, "Let's have a good fight." Marie and Midoriya assumed their stances and activated their quirks as Midnight said, "Ready? Begin." The pro-hero yelled as the sound of a whip crack thundered through the air. Midoriya went for a punch, only for Marie to deflect it to the side and kick his stomach. She then followed up by pouncing towards him, but he avoided her. Marie dodged a kick and kicked him again in the chest. "Midoriya, if you're holding back on me, I swear to God I will kick your ass over your head," Marie growled as she attempted a chopping strike that Midoriya caught, and then he landed a hard punch to her stomach. Marie struck his forearm to make him let go and they both backed away. "That's more like it," Marie said as she ran at him after catching her breath. Midoriya caught her arm as she tried a punch, and then threw her to the ground, keeping hold of her to then put her in a tight arm lock. Marie struggled to break free, but Midoriya's technique was solid enough to keep her from breaking his arm lock. "That's it. Come up," Midnight declared. Marie and Midoriya got up and Marie rolled her shoulder to make sure her arm was fine. "The score is 6 for Midoriya, and 2 for Freeman." Midnight said, "Fighters get ready." Marie took a deep breath and assumed her stance again. Midoriya was raw, unpolished, but his technique was adequate, and any weaknesses in technique were overcome by the raw strength his quirk granted him. His smell, what the hell, not enough adrenaline or testosterone. His strength isn't just from those fine muscles I'm feeling. Mom was right, I can't overpower him. Need to fight smarter. Go! Midnight yelled. Midoriya jumped at Marie with speed that defied belief, but she still managed to block his kick and grabbed his ankle. She then felt as something hit her, making her let go. "The hell?" she yelled, then barely dodged another kick before flipping back. "Was that air? Did he punch so hard that the shockwaves hit me?" Marie barely avoided another kick before throwing a hook kick that hit Midoriya's head. Midoriya was hit hard by it, and Marie seized her chance to jump on him and tackled him to the ground, holding him tight while she was on top and pinning him down. Marie struggled with all her might and managed to keep him pinned for 10 seconds. "Up," Midnight declared. Marie and Midoriya got up and Midnight announced, "The score is 7 for Midoriya and 8 for Freeman. This is the last minute. Fighters get ready." For the last time, Midoriya and Marie assumed their stances. "Midoriya," Marie said, "thanks for this. I'm looking forward to spending the school year learning with you." Midoriya took a breath and said, "The feeling is mutual, Freemanson. You're an amazing fighter." Their talk was ended when with one last crack of her whip Midnight yelled, "Go." Midoriya shot forward faster than before and landed a punch to Marie's face, and then another before she could block it. Marie jumped over him to avoid another strike and spun around for a side kick that hit his stomach hard, making him stumble back. Marie ran at him full speed, ready to end it with a palm strike, only for Midoriya's fist to slam into her palm instead. Marie could only feel shock then. There was no other word for the sensation of feeling every bone in her arm, her hand, to her wrist, to her forearm, elbow, upper arm and shoulder shatter all at once. Her right arm slumped instantly, like a boneless worm. Marie could only fall to her knees, feeling as Midoriya helped her up. "I'm so sorry," he said over and over again. The words didn't reach Marie's brain for 5 seconds as she felt her mom hold her. That was when the pain finally hit her. Marie screamed so loud that the entire training center echoed with her scream. She kept on screaming in pain as she was carried out and into the main building. She recognized that it was Midoriya carrying her as they got up to the nurse's office. "Recovery girl," Midoriya said as he went in and explained what had happened. "Midoriya, I can't believe this. Bad enough that you nearly destroyed your arms last year, but now you're doing that to a fellow student?" "Wait," Marie managed to say. Recovery girl stopped yelling at Midoriya and Marie said, "I wanted to spar him. He just went along with it. It was all my idea. Don't punish him, at least if you do, I deserve the same punishment," Marie managed to say through gritted teeth as she struggled to remain conscious. Recovery girl sighed. "This generation. You kids have no self-preservation instincts at all." Recovery girl then went to Marie and kissed her arm, and Marie felt as her arm healed, and the pain stopped. Marie flexed her arm and rolled her wrist and moved her fingers a few times. She was completely healed. "Thank you, recovery girl," Marie said. "Don't do something so reckless ever again." Recovery girl said, "That goes for both of you." "Yes, sensei," they yelled. "You can go now." Recovery girl dismissed the heroes in training, and they left her office. As they walked back, Midoriya said, "Freeman-kun, I'm so sorry. I was trying to hit you and your hand, and dash, forget it," Marie cut him off. "I challenged you, I got what I had coming to me. Besides, I'm all better now. You got nothing to apologize for." Marie smiled as they continued heading back to the training center. "You know, Midoriya, I think I could fall for a guy like you." "Huh." Midoriya stopped in shock, and Marie laughed as he started babbling incoherently. It wasn't the best way to end a fight, but she was satisfied with it. Namuri walked the streets, her boys never far behind, but far enough to let her think. She thought about her children's first days at school as she walked. So far, the night had been quiet. She had been most worried about Joey and was happy to know he had made friends with Arie, along with other friends like Higashikata Jugo and Yamato Rukia. Marie's fight with Midoriya hadn't gone like she thought it would, yet Marie held no grudge, and even seemed to like Midoriya-kun more afterwards, and encouraged Joey not to hold her injury against him. "Accidents happen when you spar," she had told her little brother, "and besides, I think this counts as a draw anyway." The rest of the day was uneventful. Marie was staying at the UA dorms while Joey was asleep in his bed at Namuri's apartment with a babysitter watching him. The girl was starstruck when she realized she was babysitting for the 18-plus hero, and actually worked this first night for free after Namuri gave her an autograph. She hated that she hadn't had time to be the fun mom. Unfortunately, between her two jobs and hiring tutors for Joey to teach him Japanese and Marie to help her adapt to her blindness, she just didn't have the time to really have any bonding moments, to go out and show Marie and Joey what it was really like in Japan, to take them to places, festivals, maybe a park or museum. But so far, the most bonding time the new family had had was playing board games and watching TV. Marie had accepted her, the good and bad, to Midnight's relief. They would talk after Marie sang Joey to sleep with an Indian lullaby. Marie didn't fully understand it, but she had heard Joey's late mother, Misa, sing it enough time to imitate it. Midnight didn't hold anything back. If Marie asked, she answered honestly. She told her about her life and lovers, what Joseph had been like when they were together. Those times were the worst, as Marie would happily cry at the memories of her dead father. Midnight was driven from her thoughts at the sound of people screaming. "Boys, to me!" Midnight ordered, and her Midnight boys immediately followed her as she ran to the sound of people screaming. They saw a villain that looked like a pink-furred gorilla wearing jeans and armed with a large mallet. The villain yelled as he swung his mallet at a car, sending it flying. "Sanjuro!" Midnight yelled. Sanjuro immediately lifted his hands and used his quirk, Ferrokinesis, to slowly bring the flying car down. Midnight cracked her whip, grabbing the gorilla villain's attention and signaling for her three other boys to surround the villain. "Hey big boy, is that a hammer or are you just happy to see me?" she taunted him as she prepared to tear one of her sleeves off. The gorilla villain laughed, and then the mallet seemed to melt and then mold itself into a mask. "Shit!" Midnight yelled as she quickly tore her sleeve, releasing her sleeping fragrance. She was too late though. The gorilla villain put the mask over his mouth and nose, and then charged at her as fast as he could. Midnight just managed to sidestep the villain and swung her whip in time for her whip to crack right next to his ear. The villain screamed in pain and gave her time to use her whip one more time to smack the mask off the villain's face. Midnight tore her sleeve a little more, and this time her fragrance worked its magic, and the gorilla villain fell asleep. "Mistress," her boys all yelled as they went to her. "Detain him," Midnight ordered, all business as she picked up the mask that had been a mallet. Police appeared and Midnight handed over the mask while her boys helped carry the gorilla villain to the waiting police van. "This needs to be analyzed immediately," Midnight told the officers. "I don't know if that villain had another quirk, but when we first arrived on the scene, this mask was a mallet. I haven't seen such technology before. We might encounter more things like this." Right away, officers saluted as crime technicians took the mask. Midnight sighed, and then felt something in her corset vibrate. She pulled out her phone and saw that her patrol time was up. Midnight turned to leave as members of the press snapped pictures and yelled for answers. Midnight turned and held her whip, and then seductively licked her lips. The reporters ate it up, and Midnight was soon surrounded by her boys as they headed back to her agency. Once they arrived, Midnight took off her domino mask and went to her locker room to change into her civilian attire, which was flatteringly tight jeans and a warm but snug sweater, with sneakers and regular socks for her feet. She passed her boys on the way out and said, "Good job today, boys. I hope you're ready for next week." "I will miss working for you, mistress," Ichiro told her. "We all will," Nikairo and Shiro both said, and Sanjuro quietly nodded. Midnight put her hands on all of their shoulders and said, "You were the greatest sidekicks a hero could ask for. You will all be amazing heroes." Namuri left them then, and headed for a bar that was close by her apartment, Miyata's Mixer. She went in and saw that Aizawa was at the bar, nursing his favorite cocktail, Jack and Ginger. She sat beside him and ordered a triple screaming orgasm. "Long night?" Aizawa asked her. "Something like that," Namuri said, and told him about the gorilla villain encounter. "I'd heard rumors that some villains were experimenting with new tech, but nothing solid," Aizawa said. "You might have just gotten the first solid lead in the investigation." Namuri had a sip of her cocktail. "I'll try to keep on top of it then. However, that's not what I wanted to talk about." Aizawa grunted in a way to show he was still listening. "It's about Joey. Marie and we've managed to make a good relationship. I was honestly surprised, but she accepted me as her mother faster than I thought she would. But Joey? He hasn't said anything to me, but I feel like there's a good distance. Is it because Marie is my biological daughter, and Joey isn't? Have I messed up somehow? I want to try to be the best mother for both of them that I can be, but something is between me and Joey." Namuri had another sip as Aizawa thought about it. "Why ask me?" Aizawa finally asked. "I've seen how Arie-chan is with you," Namuri explained. "That girl loves you. The only ones who are equal in her heart are Midoriya-kun and Togata-kun for how they saved her. You took a girl who experienced the kind of things that would make anyone doubt that there was any goodness in the human race, who also has quite possibly the most powerful quirk in the world, and saved her soul, and managed to raise her enough that she could go to a normal school and interact with children her age. Like it or not, you're a miracle maker. She didn't have much choice. I was the only one who could watch her, and stop her if necessary. We basically had to cram years of schooling. Thankfully, after being exiled from the world for so long, she was eager to know all about it once she had the chance. She's a sponge for learning. However, it took months to get her there. To get her to trust me. You're on the same boat I was, Kayama, stuck with a child you have barely any connection with. But, unlike Arie-chan, Joey-chan isn't as horribly traumatized, and you've had him for months now. The best advice I can give you is to just talk with him, Aizawa told her. That's simple, Namuri said. You'll have to listen to him, and if he asks for a change, at least consider it. This is just a guess, but you might be embarrassing him without realizing it, Aizawa then said. And what is that supposed to mean? Namuri challenged. Just something to consider, Aizawa told her, and then finished his Jack and Ginger. This one's on me. We'll say you owe me one later, Namuri said as she paid for his drink and her own. It's your money, Aizawa said as she finished her drink and they left. Aizawa hailed a taxi and it went to Namuri's apartment first since it was closer. Kayama, Aizawa said as she started to get up. Yes, she asked. Last word of advice. Be ready to hear things you don't want to hear. I'll pay for the cab. We're even, Aizawa said as he shut the door. Namuri went up to her apartment and thanked the babysitter. Care was her name, and after seeing that Joey was still asleep, went to get some sleep herself in her room. She'd talk to Joey tomorrow. The day went by uneventfully as far as Marie was concerned. Everything went by as if it was a normal school, until near the end of the school day. The last class for her second day in UA was going to be battle training. As Class 2A's door opened, she heard and smelled someone who seemed skinny. Freakishly skinny, so much that she could hear clothes flap in the wind as if barely hanging on to the body they were on, and this person smelled faintly of blood. I am here, a voice that sounded stronger than the person it came from declared, and Marie finally realized who it was. All Might, the former #1 hero. It's good to see all of Class A's students still here in their second year, as well as a new transfer student I see. Today, we will perform a battle trial, like last year. Only this time, we won't pair students up, All Might announced. Marie raised her hand, and All Might said, young lady, the new student, I'm afraid I haven't gotten your name. I'm Marie Freeman, All Might Sensei, Marie responded. How will this test go? All in due time, Freeman Xiaozhou, All Might told her. For now, get in your costumes, and meet me in Field Beta. Marie heard the walls open, and every one of her classmates picked up suitcases with their costumes. Marie used her heightened sense of smell to find her costume and followed the other girls to the lockers. As she changed, Marie asked, So, what was last year's battle trial like? Yayarozu explained, Last year, we were all randomly paired up into 10 teams. 5 teams acted as villains, while the other 5 teams acted as heroes. The heroes' goal was to capture a weapon from the villains, while the villains stopped them. The battle trial was for 30 minutes each team. Heroes won if they captured the villains or the weapon, while villains won if they stopped the heroes from getting the weapon in time or captured the heroes. Marie smiled as she activated her quirk and put on her costume. Sounds fun. I hope I get to deal with Bakugo. The students all headed out to Field Gamma, and Marie could smell that it was a mock-up of a city, a very large one judging by the smell. How much funding does this school get? She wondered. Rogers and Stark had to get permits to use buildings slated for demolition to train us for urban environments. Now then, All Might said, snapping Marie out of her thoughts. This battle trial will be harder than last year's for the following reason. The heroes will have several disadvantages against them. Since there are now 21 students in the class, the hero teams will consist of 3 members, while the villains will have 4 members. Also, the heroes must get the weapon out of the building, completely unharmed. If any damage is done to the weapon, then it is an automatic victory for the villain team. And finally, in the final minute, should the trial last that long, the villains will be given special detonators they may use to destroy the weapon. However, that is only in the last minute of the trial, not before. All the students groaned at this news. She heard Kaminari say, This is going to be a lot harder than last year, that's for sure. That's the life of a hero, Marie said. How can you be so calm about this? Kaminari asked. South Carolina has a high violent crime rate of 0.39 out of 1,000, about 10 points higher than the national average in the United States, 0.29 out of 1,000. Much higher than Japan's, until recently, low violent crime rate of 0.07 out of 1,000. Back home, heroes are always at a disadvantage. It's just a fact of life, Marie answered him. She sensed he was confused and said, I had to do a project last year on U.S. crime rates compared to another country, and I chose Japan. Man, Kaminari said, that sounds awful. Marie shrugged, it's not perfect, but it's home. Now, for the first hero team. All Might declared. She heard him shuffling his hand in a box filled with balls and pulled one out. Kaminari Shonen. Marie heard more shuffling. Freeman Xiaozhou. Marie raised her hand. Up high, partner. Let's get him. Yeah, Kaminari said, and high-fived her, and then she heard the third member of her team, Bakugo Shonen. What? Marie screamed, and Bakugu yelled just as loudly, "N-N-I?" All Might sighed. "I heard from Aizawa that you two did not get along. However, part of being a hero is working with those you disagree with for the greater good. You never know what may happen." Marie huffed. "Fair enough. Now, for the villains," All Might said, and put his hand in another box. "Todoroki Shonen. Ajui Shoujo. Yaoyorozu Shoujo. And finally, Sata Shonen. Villains, assume your stations. Once there you will have 5 minutes to form a plan. The rest of us will be watching. I expect great things from you all." All Might said and led the 14 students not taking part in this test to the monitor room, while Tsuyu, Yaoyorozu, Satu, and Todoroki went into the assigned building. Marie turned to Bakugu and said, "If I had a choice, I'd rather shove my entire head up a diarrhea-afflicted cow's ass than work with you. But that's the way the dice fell. We're stuck with each other. We might as well do our best." Marie held out her hand. "For now, partners?" Bakugu grasped her hand and shook on it. "For now, partners. But afterwards, I won't go easy on you, got it, Kuriko?" "Wish you'd stop calling me that," Marie said, "but fine. I know Todoroki controls fire and ice. Sata gets super strong if he eats sugar, Tsuyu's a frog girl, and Yaoyorozu can make anything she wants. Anything I'm missing?" Bakugu spoke up. "Ponytail's a freaking genius, smartest person in the whole class. She'll be the mastermind most likely." "He means Yaomomo, Yaoyorozu," Kaminari whispered to Marie. "Icy Hot and Baker Boy are their powerhouses. Icy Hot can either make a damn firestorm or an iceberg, while Baker Boy gets stronger the more sugar he eats, but when it wears off in like 5 minutes he's useless. I kicked Icy Hot's ass at the sports festival, but Icy Hot was holding back on me, unlike when he fought Deku. This time, I'm gonna beat him for real." "He means Satu and Todoroki," Kaminari translated. "Thanks," Marie said. "And French cuisine can basically do anything a frog can, plus she can make herself invisible, like some species of frog can use camouflage or some shit like that," Bakugu finished. "He means dash, I get it now," Marie interrupted Kaminari, "but thanks anyway." "So," Marie turned her attention to Bakugu, "I take it that you're pretty good then. I think any one of us can beat Satu. If I use my ultimate technique I could probably beat Todoroki, and in a direct fight I can beat Tsuyu or Yaoyorozu. But that's if we want to beat them. Of course we gotta beat them all. Total victory," Bakugu declared. "The goal is to get the weapon out of the building unharmed. If things get bad, that's what our focus should be on," Marie objected, and Kaminari said, "She's got a point, Bakugu. That's how you and Ida got beat last year." Bakugu's hands went off like a chain of firecrackers and he ground his teeth together. "Don't remind me. We need to find the weapon then and get it out. How are we gonna do that?" "Give me a minute, see if I can smell anything out of the ordinary," Marie said, and walked closer to the building where Todoroki, Yaoyorozu, Satu, and Ajui were. She took 5 deep breaths of the air, smelling as much as she could. She smelled her classmates, all of them taking their spots throughout the building. She smelled 2 on the 2nd floor, Satu and Tsuyu. She smelled Todoroki on the 4th floor, and finally she smelled Yaoyorozu on the 5th. But she couldn't smell anything she could identify as the weapon, since she had no idea what it should smell like. Well, at least it wasn't a total bust, Marie thought to herself as Kaminari and Bakugu walked up to her. "Couldn't find the weapon, but I'm guessing it's with Yaoyorozu. She's on the 5th floor. Satu and Tsuyu are on the 2nd floor, while Todoroki is on the 4th. Is there any way we could hide from them?" "Not really," Kaminari told her. "Guess we gotta fight then. We divide and conquer. I'll handle Tsuyu and Satu, Bakugu can handle Todoroki, so Kaminari can go after Yaoyorozu and hopefully get the weapon out while we distract the others. Sound good?" Marie said. "Won't be that easy," Bakugu said. "Ponytail's bound to have made weapons and tools for the other losers, plus she might have traps waiting for us too. Watch your backs in there. Right?" Kaminari said. "Thanks," Marie mumbled. Bakugu was a better team player than she had expected. Kaminari pulled her aside. "Look, I know Bakugu's tough to get along with, but he's one of the best students here. And he's a lot different from last year. Last year, we never would have had that plan made, he'd have just gone on his own. I'm not saying you gotta like him, but you can get along better with him. Marie huffed at this, then a loud blast went out, as All Might announced, "Battle trial begin." Marie cracked her neck and let Bakugo and Kaminari walk ahead. She followed them, making sure to keep close enough to memorize their scents. The first floor was clear of anything like Marie had smelled, but as they started for the stairs to the second, Marie heard something. "Wait," she whispered, stopping Bakugo and Kaminari. "I hear something, be quiet for a minute," Marie whispered, and focused on the sound she heard. It sounded like something was being powered by electricity. "There's something electronic up there. I don't know what it is. Might be a trap. Bakugo, can you use your explosions to get in the second floor from the outside?" "I don't think they'll expect that," Marie said. "Yeah," Bakugo said and headed out. Marie and Kaminari went ahead, and at the top of the stairs, Marie felt the heat of a powerful light turn on. "Gah!" Kaminari yelled as he was temporarily blinded. Marie charged forward and kicked the lamp that was at the top of the stairs, just as Bakugo blasted through a window. "Bakugo! Help Kaminari-san!" Marie yelled as she dodged Tsuyu's tongue. Satu went at Bakugo, and Bakugo blasted another explosion at him, only for Satu to dodge it. Tsuyu tried to snag Marie with her tongue again, and this time Marie grabbed it and pulled as hard as she could. "Karo!" Tsuyu croaked as she was pulled from the ceiling, and Marie kicked her in her stomach hard, driving the air from her lungs, and then heard as Satu landed a punch on Bakugo before he could hit him with another explosion. Marie ran at the two boys and dodged as Satu tried to hit her. His fist hit the floor, cracking the concrete. Marie grabbed his head before he could try again and pounded her knee into his chin, stunning the larger teen, and allowing Bakugo to finish him with an explosion that knocked him out. Kaminari had recovered by then and was with Tsuyu. "I grabbed some capture tape, we can tie them up with it," he said, and tossed the tape to Marie. Marie grabbed it, only for Satu to get up and tackle her before she could tie him up. Marie was pulled into a headlock and Satu held her tight against himself. "Let her go now, heroes, or your friend gets it." Marie kept her cool, remembering it was just a test. Bakugo smelled like he was going to blast her anyway, but Kaminari was hesitating. Satu was tall, enough to lift her off the ground, and Marie was struggling with her strength to pull his arms off her neck. If she had time she would have pulled him off, but she didn't. "Sorry, Satu-san. See recovery girl after this," Marie said. Satu was holding her tightly against his body. She could feel every rippling muscle on his chest and stomach. Marie reached out with her right arm, and then pulled it back hard as she could, slamming it into his ribs hard enough to break them. Satu let her go immediately, and Marie turned around and turned back into her normal form to land a hard punch into his solar plexus, driving the air further out of him, and letting her tie him up. "Sorry, Satu-san. Couldn't think of anything else to do," Marie apologized again, and then transformed back into her werewolf form before following Bakugo and Kaminari. The temperature was a lot chillier, and Bakugo cursed, "Fucking icy hot," covered the floor in ice. "Chicken shit's too scared to fight me head on." "Are there any traps?" Marie asked Kaminari. He looked around. "None that I can see, but the way to the stairs is blocked with a solid block of ice." "I'll lead the way. Just direct me to the ice blocking the stairs." "I'll use my claws to crawl there." Kaminari, grab my tail. "Bakugo, hold on to Kaminari," Marie said. "Screw that," Bakugo said, and immediately unleashed an explosion before Marie or Kaminari could stop him. The explosion was large enough to almost knock Marie back. She had to hold on to Kaminari and Bakugo to stop them from falling down the stairs. "Bakugo!" Marie yelled, and then noticed her voice echoed. "Don't tell me," Marie said. Kaminari sighed. "He destroyed the floor." Marie let go of Bakugo and said, "Got any more bright ideas, firecracker? Bite me, Kuriko." Bakugo angrily yelled back. "Is there any space at all, so we can climb along the walls?" she asked Kaminari. Kaminari looked. "Yeah, but it'll be tight. And there's no way to get to the stairs." Marie sighed. "All right, guys. Grab me." "What?" Kaminari said. "In this form, I'm 10 times stronger. I can easily carry the 3 of us as long as you guys hold on to me. I can reach a window and climb from the outside. I just need someone to keep track of which floor we're on," she explained. "Screw that. I'll blast my way to icy hot," Bakugu said. Whatever, you do that, me and Kaminari will get the damn weapon, Marie told him and said, Kaminari, grab on. But isn't that a little intimate? He asked. Marie snorted, don't hump my ass or grab my tits, and it won't be. Now hurry up. All right, Kaminari said, and wrapped his arms around her neck and legs around her waist. Marie felt the small bit of floor near the ground and tested it. It was just enough to hold hers and Kaminari's weight. Marie forced her claws into the wall and slowly started crawling along the wall. After 5 steps, she heard as Bakugu made an explosion and broke through a window on the opposite side, and then with another explosion flew up to the 4th floor. Marie had to make a dozen more steps and felt the wall. She reached for the window. Kaminari, blast out the window, make sure there's no glass shards, she told her partner. Kaminari let go of her neck with one arm and her hair stood up as he blasted with window with his electricity, then did it again for good measure. Got it. Stick to the right side and you'll be good, he told her. Marie carefully climbed through the window, using her upper body strength alone to claw her way up. She and Kaminari soon heard the sound of Bakugu and Todoroki fighting. There were rumbles throughout the building. Shouldn't we help Bakugu? Kaminari asked as she reached a window on the 4th floor. Is he getting his ass kicked? Marie asked him. Kaminari looked in and said, I'd say they're about dead even. Then we stick to the mission. We need to finish this before the last minute, or we're screwed, Marie said as she continued to climb. You're really strong, Marie, Kaminari said as she was halfway between the 4th and 5th floors. I work out 6 days a week. Diet heavy on protein, low on carbs and sugar. Even without my quirk, I could have been an MMA champion back in the pre-quirk era. At least that's what Dad used to tell me, she told him as she reached a window. Kaminari, what's inside? She asked him. Kaminari checked in and said, I can't see inside. Crap, there's something covering the window inside. It might be rubber. Blast the window, I'll slice it up with my claws, Marie told him. Kaminari did as she said, and destroyed the window with a blast of electricity, and Marie climbed up higher. Hang on tight, she told Kaminari as she focused on holding on to the side of the building with her left arm and reached inside the window with her right hand. She felt the rubber covering and focused on tearing through it with her claws. After 5 slashes, Kaminari said, That's good. I'll get in and help you in after I'm in. Hurry up, this is still pretty tiring, Marie told him as Kaminari managed to climb into the window. She reached out for him to help her in, when suddenly he was pushed out the window. Yow! Kaminari yelled. Marie managed to hold on to him to keep him from falling, but her claws slid down a foot. Yaoyorozu! What the hell? Kaminari yelled. Sorry, Kaminari-kun, Yaoyorozu said, but I am a villain in this battle trial. Kaminari tried to blast her with electricity, but Marie smelled rubber burn and realized Yaoyorozu had a rubber shield on her. Now I just gotta wait for time to run out in about 5 minutes, or... You fall, Yaoyorozu said. That's a really villainous thing to say, Marie commented as she tried to think of a plan. She thought one up, but it was a desperate gamble. She got ready to toss Kaminari again and took a deep breath. She tossed him up into the window again, harder than before. Kaminari moved too fast for Yaoyorozu to react, and he managed to tackle her once he was inside. Marie quickly climbed up and grabbed the window's edge, cutting her arms on glass, but got inside in time to feel a massive blast of electricity go off, and then the smell of something burning. Kaminari, she asked, only to smell Yaoyorozu swing something at her. Marie ducked under it and tried to kick her, but Yaoyorozu backed away. I had a trap waiting for him, he's unharmed, but wrapped up in a non-conductive material right now. He overused his electricity and short-circuited his brain, Yaoyorozu said, before Marie then felt a loud whistle that made her head feel like it was about to explode. Marie screamed and fell to her knees. Sorry, Freeman-chan, Yaoyorozu said before blowing on the whistle again. Marie struggled to think as the nails on a chalkboard sound of what could only be a dog whistle tore through her ears and into her brain. Gotta get rid of that damn whistle. Was all she could think of, then deactivated her quirk. Returning to her normal form didn't stop the pain, but it did dull it. Marie acted as if she was still in pain though, only slightly exaggerating. Stop. Please. Marie screamed. Yaoyorozu stopped blowing the whistle, but only to catch her breath. Marie forced herself to spin around on the ground and kicked out with her right leg, sweeping Yaoyorozu to the ground. The creation hero in training fell with a slight scream of surprise, and Marie got on top of her, squeezing her arm until she let go of the dog whistle she made. Yaoyorozu tried to fight her, but Marie had managed to mount her. The werewolf girl punched down, hitting Yaoyorozu's face hard. Marie let go then and stood up, and Yaoyorozu tried to get up too, but Marie knocked her out with a kick to her stomach, driving the wind out of her. "Sorry, Yaoyorozu-san. But I gotta get that weapon fast," Marie said as she searched with her ears. She activated her quirk one more time and heard something ticking. She found the source of the ticking sound and picked up something that weighed about 50 pounds and was as large as a basketball. "I think I'll need help with this." Marie found Kaminari and sliced off the material binding him. Kaminari laughed like an idiot the whole time. "Kaminari," Marie told him, and handed him the weapon. "I need you to hold on to this really tight, no matter what." Kaminari only laughed more but took the weapon. "Heavy," he said. "I know, but you gotta hold on really tight, okay?" Marie told him. "Okay," Kaminari said as Marie lifted him up by the stomach over her left shoulder. "Hold on now, okay?" Marie told the still short-circuited Kaminari, and he told her. Marie went to the window one last time, and climbed down in. This time was going to be really hard. Marie stayed close to the wall outside, and fell several feet, before thrusting out and using her claws to slow hers and Kaminari's descent. "That hurt. Hope I don't have to do this too much," she thought as she did this again, 5 more times. Each fall brought her only a little closer, but she wasn't going to risk it for too long. Right as she thought she had no more strength left, her feet touched the ground and a loud alarm sounded throughout the area. "Battle trial over. The hero team wins," All Might loudly announced. Marie set Kaminari down and sat down. "Woof, that was tough," she said as she returned to her normal form. She heard the sound of a vehicle approaching, and smelled Recovery Girl coming. The aged support hero walked over to Marie and examined her. "Well, you're in better condition than Midoriya-kun was in. How does your arm feel?" "Sore, really sore," Marie admitted. She felt Recovery Girl kiss her, and instantly her body felt good as new. She smelled as Todoroki and Yaoyorozu came down, helping Tsuyu and Satu. "I think I broke one, maybe 2 of Sata's ribs," Marie confessed. Recovery Girl helped the losing villain team with their injuries, but only Satu had broken bones. Bakugo came down as well, stomping the whole way. "You stupid gaijin bitch. I almost had that icy hot bastard right where I wanted him." Marie stood up and said, "You know what, you sweaty half-assed overstuffed firecracker? You can just kiss the darkest part of my bladash. That's enough," All Might said as he arrived. "I'm afraid that while the hero team did succeed, that both Freeman Xiaojo and Bakugo Shonen have failed the test," All Might announced. "But it's not my fault," Marie yelled. "Bakugo's the one that blew up the floor. And he went off on his own. Kaminari-san and I focused on the mission." All Might sighed. "That is true, but you also left him behind when he needed help." "I didn't need anyone's help," Bakugo protested. "Those bruises Recovery Girl healed say otherwise," All Might responded to him. "Kaminari Shonen couldn't see it, but after Marie Xiaojo and Kaminari Shonen left the 4th floor, the tide turned against you. Had this been a real fight, Todoroki Shonen would have defeated you." Bakugo clicked his tongue at this but said nothing more. "You should come with me to the observation room. Perhaps it will help you," All Might told Marie and Bakugo. Marie did as he said, and new teams were made. Marie silently stood in the observation room for the rest of the battle tests. The hero team composed of Ida, Uraraka, and Toru managed to defeat the villain team of Tokoyami, Aoyama, Kirishima, and Ojiro. The last teams were Ashido, Shuji, and Mineta as the hero team against Kuda, Jairu, Siro, and Midoriya. The villain team managed to win in that challenge with 10 minutes still on the clock. It was barely a real fight as Midoriya formed a plan to use Siro's tape to block the windows, after Kuda summoned birds to keep them from going where they weren't supposed to go, and Jairu and Midoriya managed to capture them all. It was frightening to hear how easily Midoriya led his team to victory so quickly. As the class ended for the day, Marie could only think to herself, I have to work 10 times as hard if I want to keep up with that Midoriya. That guy is something else. Midnight didn't have to lead Joey to his homeroom like last time, though she did give him a goodbye kiss on his head before leaving with the taxi. He sat down next to Arie like his first day, and she said, "Hi, Joey." "Hi, Arie-chan. How is Deku after?" Joey didn't know what to say. Marie's arm was a bloody mess after their fight, yet after Recovery Girl fixed her arm, she wasn't angry at all at Midoriya. He and Arie hadn't talked. What could you say? "Hey, even though your hero almost destroyed my sister's arm, we can still be friends." It was awkward to say the least. Deku-san was really sorry about Marina-chan's arm, but she wasn't angry. "Are you angry, Joey?" Arie said. Joey shook his head. "No, but that was awkward, and I didn't know what to say. I like Deku-san, he's nice, and I know Marie likes him too. I think she wants him to be her new boyfriend actually." "Oh, are you sure?" "I don't think Deku-san likes her like that," Arie said. "I don't know," Joey admitted. "My sister is weird. Her last boyfriend was a snake boy, but she liked making out with him all the time. It was so gross." Arie looked confused. "What's making out?" Joey stopped there and felt himself start to blush. Arie noticed and looked at him even more confused. It's when two people kiss a whole lot, and stuff?" Joey managed to say. "Who's making out?" Jugo popped up, his pink eyes wide and mischievous, as did Rukia. The mud girl had a big smile as she said, "Joey-chan, are you corrupting Arie-chan?" But something happened with my sister and Deku-san, and they were sparring yesterday, and he accidentally broke my sister's arm," Joey said. Rukia and Jugo were both surprised to hear that. "Is she okay?" Rukia asked. Yue's nurse, Recovery Girl, healed her. When they got back, Marie was smiling, and Deku-san was blushing and babbling. It was weird, Joey managed to quickly explain. "So your sister and Arie's Deku-san made out?" Rukia said. "No, I don't think so," Joey said, then his head slid down to his desk. "Could this be any more embarrassing?" Arie spoke up. "I don't think Deku-san did that," Arie said. "He likes Ochakane-chan too much. I think he wants to make out with her." "Wait," Rukia then said. "You said you? As in the Hero Academy UA?" "Yeah," Joey responded. "Your sister is going to be a hero? That's so cool. No wonder you beat Saito-san so easily," Jugo said. Joey was saved from any more talk when Ono-sensei entered the room. The rest of the school day was uneventful for Joey and Arie, aside from the good-natured ribbing of Rukia and Jugo throughout the day. By the end of the school day, Joey was starting to wonder about his sister's intentions himself. Aizawa-sensei came to pick them both up, and as they took a taxi to Ue, Arie asked the pro-hero, "Aizawa-san?" Aizawa looked at her with his tired eyes and she asked him, "Have you ever made out with someone?" Joey's eyes nearly popped out of his skull, and Aizawa's own tired eyes opened up wide too. "Why do you ask?" he said after looking at Joey and shooting him a look that didn't look happy. Arie explained what had happened yesterday between Marie and Deku while Joey tried his best imitation of a turtle by trying to hide his head in his shirt. After she explained it, Aizawa took a deep breath. "Arie-chan, that is a personal thing between two people, it's not polite to ask about it. It's not polite to talk about people like that or ask someone that isn't a good friend." Arie nodded. "I'm sorry." Aizawa sighed as the taxi reached Ue and looked at the two children he picked up. "Listen, Arie-chan, Joey-chan. Like I said before, making out is something private between two people. Something two people who love and care for each other do to show their affection for each other. And it's something you shouldn't worry about yet. You're still too young to do it, understood?" "Understood," Joey quickly said. Arie nodded. "I understand." Aizawa nodded. "Now then, let's find Midnight and Marie." Midnight said she wanted to talk to Joey-chan. They walked into the Heights Alliance dorm, where Ashido Mina and Kirishima Idru were both watching a movie. "Ashido, Kirishima, is Freeman in her room?" Aizawa asked. "Not today, sensei," Kirishima said. "She met some of 2B and challenged them to spar her at Field Gamma. Samenta-sensei is watching over them." "All right," Aizawa said and left the dorm. Ashido and Kirishima followed and he looked at them. "I want to see how many butts Marie-chan kicks," Ashido explained. I want to go a few rounds if she's still game for it, Kirishima said. Alright, Kirishima, change into your costume first. You got 5 minutes, or I'm leaving you behind, Aizawa said. Kirishima ran back into the dorm, and Aizawa spotted a coffee maker in the kitchen. He made himself a cup and chugged it down so fast that Joey almost didn't believe it. Soon Kirishima came back to the living room of the dorm dressed in his hero costume. Alright, let's go, Kirishima yelled. The group followed Aizawa to Field Gamma and headed inside. A large man who appeared to be carved from cement was there, watching as Marie sparred a girl with silver hair and dressed like a ninja. To the side were 4 students, 3 of whom looked tired and ragged. Marie had obviously defeated them, and one who looked like a large wolf man wearing a blue visor and pants and nothing else. Joey returned his attention to Marie. Marie dodged cement blocks that the silver-haired girl was sending her way and ran at her opponent. The silver-haired girl attempted to kick her, but Marie caught her ankle and swept her down before putting her foot on the silver-haired girl's neck. I yield, the silver-haired girl said. Marie let her go and helped her opponent up. That wasn't too bad, Reiko, one of the defeated students, a blonde boy wearing what looked like a tuxedo said. It isn't your fault that guy Jin is a brutal beast. Marie deactivated her quirk and turned to the blonde boy then said, Hey, Monoma, want me to kick your ass again, even harder this time? I could have knocked you out before you copied my quirk, but I was being nice enough to give you a chance to take me on. The blonde boy laughed haughtily, as expected of the uncouth class. You and Bakugo make quite a pair. The blonde boy was stopped by a quick chop to the back of his neck by a red-haired girl wearing a blue cheongsam and black domino mask. Sorry he's a pain, the red-haired girl told Marie. It's cool, Kendo-san, Marie responded. I guess that leaves one person left, Marie then said as the wolfman stepped up to her. I hope we have a good match, Lady Freeman, the wolfman said in Japanese as he extended his hand to her. Marie smiled and shook it. Don't hold back, Shishida-san. Shishida nodded, as you wish. Marie and Shishida stepped away from each other, and Marie reactivated her quirk. Cementos looked at them both and declared, Begin. Marie ran at Shishida at full speed, only for Shishida to suddenly let loose a loud roar before he grew. He was at least twice his normal size and swiped at Marie with a claw nearly as big as her. Marie jumped up and avoided the claw, only for Shishida to jump up and attack her from below. Marie quickly kicked him in his face with both her feet before grabbing onto Shishida's face and kneeing his chin. Shishida pulled her off of him like it was nothing and landed on the ground, holding her and letting her take the full force of the fall, plus his body weight. Marie! Joey screamed. Dust cleared and Marie was still pinned down under the claw. She was bleeding from her head and coughed up some blood. Don't stop the fight. Marie yelled, I can still fight. Marie then addressed Shishida, nice to know I'm not the only one who can transform. I just hope you're ready for my ultimate technique. Oh, Joey said. What's wrong? Kirishima. Marie's quirk is called lycanthrope. That's because when she first got it, she had multiple forms that she would turn into at random, from the one she uses in fights, to a full-on wolf, and everything in between, Joey explained as Marie started to growl. She trained for years to control it, and then found a new way to change, to make up her own transformation. He said, one even stronger than this one. But the catch is that she can't talk when she does it, and it doesn't last more than 2 minutes. Afterwards, she passes out. Everyone watched as Marie's eyes glowed blue and her muscles grew. Her nose and mouth jutted forward from her head and combined into a snout, while her arms and legs grew several more inches. Marie then moved and pushed herself up as Shishida tried to keep her down, only for her to stand up, grab his arm, and throw him over her shoulder. Marie was now at least 6 inches taller with 60 more pounds of muscle on her already powerful body. Her head now looked exactly like a wolf's. She unleashed a howl that echoed throughout the building before getting on all fours and facing Shishida once more. Shishida roared in challenge, and the two of them clashed once more. Shishida grabbed her with both arms, but Marie was faster now and grabbed his wrists enough to stop him. The two of them struggled against each other, their muscles bulging with effort, but their strength was now equal to each other's. Shishida! Hang in there, the red-headed girl cheered on her classmate. Come on, Marie! Kirishima and Ishido both cheered. You can do it. Marie howled in response, and then fell back, pulling Shishida off balance and opening him up for a punishing double leg kick right in his stomach. Shishida howled in pain and fell on his back, but before Marie could take advantage of his position, he stood back up and caught her arm as she tried to use her claws. Shishida lifted her up before she could get free and pounded her into the ground hard enough to leave her in a small crater. He let go of her and tried to smash his large fists into her, but Marie rolled out of his way just in time. She tackled him to the ground, and everyone could only watch as the two of them struggled and grappled against each other, neither one managing to keep the other in a hold or lock. Marie's body started to steam up and Joey yelled, "Marie! You're pushing too hard." Marie ignored him as she continued to grapple with Shishida, the other hero in training struggling to keep up with Marie. Suddenly, both of them stopped and returned to their original forms. They fell down, Marie on top of Shishida across his large chest. Cementos and Aizawa ran to the two and helped them up. Both were breathing hard, but Marie was still conscious. "Huh," she said, "I guess I'm getting stronger." She turned her attention to Shishida. "Hey, Shishida? You have any plans this weekend?" "No," Shishida responded after catching his breath. "Are we allowed off campus?" Marie asked Aizawa. "If you're accompanied by a teacher, yes," Aizawa responded. Marie took a few breaths. "Think you could take me around town then on Sunday? 10 o'clock? Shishida blushed through his fur. "You mean, like a date?" Marie smiled. "If you want to call it that." Shishida blushed again even more before saying, "I would be delighted, Lady Freeman." "See you Sunday then," Marie said, and was helped by Aizawa back to the dorms with everyone else following behind them. "That was awesome, Marie." Kirishima yelled, "So manly. You beat all of them." Marie shook her head. "Not really. Shishida was something else. Damn it, I don't know how to train, I need more power, but I can't do it at the expense of my stamina and speed. I can maybe put on 8 more pounds of muscle, but that's it." Ishido laughed. "Who cares? You got a date, girl. So, what are you gonna wear?" "No idea," Marie said as they reached the dorms. "Maybe you and the other girls can help me pick. I got a few dresses, and some other sexy clothes to wear." They turned a corner and almost ran into Midnight. "Oh, did I hear that you're going on a date?" Ishido nodded. "Yep, with Shishida of 2B. "Oh," Midnight said with a smile. "Need an escort?" "Not now, Midnight," Aizawa declared. "First, she needs to see Recovery Girl. She barely managed a draw in a sparring match with Shishida, and she coughed up blood during it. After she's healed, you can talk." "Oh my," Midnight said, genuinely surprised, and she quickly checked Marie. "I only see a gash on your head," Midnight said, then felt Marie's ribs. "Gah!" Marie quickly yelled in pain. "Oh no! Aizawa, why didn't you tell me sooner?" Midnight yelled as she then picked up Marie bridal style and started running, a lot faster than you'd think someone in her heels could, straight for the nurse's station. Kirishima said, "That was unexpected. Don't you know?" Ishido said, "Didn't I tell you that Marie is Midnight Sensei's adopted daughter?" "What?" "I would have remembered something like that," Kirishima yelled, then looked at Joey. "Does that mean Midnight Sensei is your mom too?" Joey looked at the sharp-toothed teen and meekly said, "Kind of. I really forgot to tell you." Ishido said, "Yeah," Kirishima told her, then changed the subject. "Did you see how fast she was running though? And while carrying someone too. Midnight Sensei is manlier than I thought." Aizawa took Arie then and lifted her up. "I'm going to take Arie home and make her dinner. Kirishima-kun, Ishido-chan, watch Joey-chan until Midnight gets back." "Roger, Sensei." Ishido and Kirishima both said. "Bye Arie-chan." Joey waved his friend goodbye. "See you tomorrow, Joey-chan." Arie waved back as Aizawa took her home. "So then," Ishido said as she looked at Joey with a smile, "what would you like to do, Joey-chan? We got some games we can play, we can break into Tokoyami's room, watch TV, anything you want, kiddo." Joey's stomach rumbled then. "Can we get something to eat?" "All right," Ishido said, "I think we got some snacks, and if we don't then I'm sure Satakuin wouldn't mind making something." The three of them headed into the dorm rooms and Joey saw they had some peaches in the kitchen. He grabbed two of them and started eating while Kirishima turned on the TV and started checking the guide. Joey looked and saw that there was one movie on the Classics channel just starting, his dad's favorite movie. "Stop. I want to watch that," Joey yelled, louder than he meant to. "Okay," Kirishima said, and turned the channel to the Classics channel. The theme music was playing. He had only missed a few minutes. "Black and white? Sheesh, this is ancient," Shishida said as she started making some popcorn. "It is," Joey admitted. "It was made in the pre-Quark era. It's a classic Western movie, High Noon." The popcorn finished popping and Shishida poured a bowl, letting Kirishima have some after sitting down next to him. The conflict was established in the movie when other members of Class 2A came in. They all decided not to interrupt, so they went about their business as respectfully quiet as possible, some even sitting down either on the couch or in front of it to watch the movie. Luckily, the Classics channel had subtitles in Japanese for those that didn't speak English, and halfway through the movie nearly everyone was watching it, except for Bakugo, who angrily went to his room instead, and Marie, who hadn't come back yet. The movie finally ended and Kirishima quietly said, "That was a good movie, Joey-cha. Why are you crying?" "Huh," Joey said, and then felt his cheeks. Tears were pouring down them. Joey sniffed and Shishida pulled him into a hug. "It's okay, Joey." The boy remembered the good times, once a month when his dad would sit the family down and they'd have a movie night together, him, Marie, Mom and Dad. On movie night, Joey started to say after Shishida let him go, "Dad always picked that movie. Marie, Mom, and I would always choose different movies, but Dad always picked High Noon." I asked him why, and he told me, "Joey, being a hero is a really hard job. There are times I'm afraid that I could die, or someone I'm trying to help could get hurt. When I feel like that, I remember Marshall Will Kane. He was afraid of Frank Miller and his bandits. But he didn't run away, even when he was by himself, because it was the right thing to do. It's his responsibility as the town marshal. Some people think that being a hero is about fame or money, but it's not. A lot of heroes think that way, but the truth is, being a hero is about doing the right thing no matter what. Because that's my responsibility as a hero." Joey started crying again at the memory. Nothing would be the same for him again. Like a dam that finally burst, he cried, for his parents whom he saw murdered in front of him, for the life he could never have back. Here he was, thousands of miles from his friends and his home, having to learn a new language that he could just barely speak. Almost everyone he knew was an adult or teenager. He never felt so alone before. Marie and Midnight finally arrived at the dorm. "Joey, what's wrong?" Marie said as she ran to her brother. She hugged him close and Joey hugged her back. "What happened?" Midnight asked, in a tone of voice that sent chills down the teenagers' spines. "I don't know," Kirishima quickly said. "I was just flipping through the guide, and Joey said he wanted to watch an old cowboy movie, so I turned it to that. Then we saw he was crying when it was over, and he was crying and he started talking about his dad, and then this happened." Marie spoke up then. "It was High Noon, wasn't it?" Marie asked. "I think so," Kirishima said. "Mom, they didn't do anything. Joey needs to go back to your house, and I'm going with him," Marie said to Midnight. Midnight nodded. "I'll speak to the principal and explain things to him. And I'll call a cab to take us home." Marie held Joey as the other students of 2A made room for her and Joey as she spoke to him in English. "Joey, I'm here now. Everything will be all right?" Joey didn't say anything in the time Marie held him. Only held on to her tightly as she held him close and tried her best to comfort him. "I'm such an idiot," she thought to herself. "Just because I was doing all right doesn't mean Joey is. I'm such an idiot." Eventually he stopped crying, and she could tell that he had fallen asleep. "Is he gonna be okay?" Urarka asked. "These last few months were difficult for both of us," Marie said, but Joey held on, strong. "I thought he was all right, but I guess he just kept his real emotions bottled up. And then I guess he couldn't do that anymore. I'll try to talk to him tomorrow. Thanks for watching him, guys." Everyone nodded, and Ida said, "I'm just sorry that we couldn't do more to help. As heroes, we should know when someone needs help, especially children." Marie heard as her mom came back and she said, "The cab should be here soon. Kirishima-kun, Ashido-chan, thank you for watching Joey-chan for me." "Anytime," Ashido said. Hope he feels better tomorrow, Kirishima said. Marie and Midnight left the dorms and got into a cab. They were silent as they headed for Midnight's apartment. Once they were inside, Marie tucked Joey into bed and sat down in the living room. I'm a terrible mother, Midnight said as she placed her domino mask on the counter. I should have seen the warning signs. I was just so caught up in making sure you kids were ready for school and everything that I wasn't paying close enough attention to Joey-chan. Marie shook her head. Mom, it's partially my fault too. We never talked about it. I didn't make time for him. I should have realized this would happen. The fact is, Mom, Joey still doesn't see you as his mom. You're still a stranger to him. He's never really had time to talk to you. And I never stopped to let him talk to me either. Just give him someone who will listen to him. If you're a terrible mother, then I'm a shitty big sister. Midnight sat beside Marie. I'll have to talk with my agency then, see if I have at least one day to spend with him. Marie, you know I want to be there for him, don't you? Marie smiled. You didn't say you'd be a perfect mother, but you do the best you could. Mom, not much more you can do now, but that plan sounded good to me. Thank you, Marie, Midnight said as she pulled her into a hug. I just wish I could have spent more time in your life. Marie had to stop herself from crying as she said, better late than never.